Welcome back inside the secret Gibby headquarters for another edition of Gibby's Football Podcast. I'm your host, Zach McGibbon. We are well into the playoffs. We just got through the Super Wildcard Weekend, and we've got Divisional Round coming up. I'm feeling really good. I don't know if I could say the same for my guest co-host this week. We found him. He is out from hiding. He's now able to show his face in public after what happened to his Indianapolis Colts this season. We've been able to find him, and he's willing to share his thoughts. And so thanks for coming back on here, Matthew Reisler. I'm glad you're able to show your face in public again after what the Colts faced this past season.
I mean, look, I know I've been spoiled with between Peyton Manning and Andrew Luck, the short stint of Andrew Luck, and now I have to deal with a few years of what you dealt with as a Cowboys fan, right?
Trying to put it right back on me.
See, that's deflecting. That's deflected. That I blocked that.
Yeah.
And Dikembe Mutombo wagging my finger. Oh no! Right back at you.
That's right.
Enjoy.
Yeah, and I Dikembe Mutombo right back because. Look at how the Cowboys are doing right now, my friend, and look at how the Colts are doing. I tried to get you when there was the biggest comeback in NFL history, and a multitude of other Jeff Saturday specials in the last in the second half of the week. But I
quote unquote forgot to open my Discord when that happened, and quote unquote didn't see Zach's messages. Allegedly.
No, I mean, hey, stick with the gimmick. You were in hiding. You were trying to not show your face after what happened with the Colts. Stick with the gimmick, pal.
I went to parts unknown.
That's right. Exactly.
Yeah, parts unknown.
But we were able to get you out. You made the call to your fellow Warriors like Ultimate Warrior did in parts unknown. And here you are. And you're feeling a lot better, I would think. I would hope. To come on this show and talk about some NFL, and you don't have to worry. I don't have to, grill you about how could Jeff Saturday let the biggest comeback in NFL history happen? How could they lose to this team? How could they lose to that team? But at least you were able to beat the Raiders. So, hey, you know what? At least you have that going for you. But
listen, buddy, you're talking big game for a guy whose team may or may not be destroyed this weekend. So, settle down there, cowboy.
Look, I don't have many moments like this. Okay, I know I'm projecting. I know I'm letting loose here, but I don't get many moments like this, and so I am taking full advantage of this opportunity while I have it, especially with what the abuse I've taken over the last couple of years. Just straight up abuse, Mr. Reisler. Because here's the thing, as a Cowboys fan, I didn't.
You deserve it. You deserve it.
No, absolutely.
Oh,
not.
sorry. Sorry. That's not what you're going to say.
No, that's not what I was going to say at all. How dare you? I was going to say that I was not around on this planet when the Cowboys had those 3 Super Bowl wins. Not on this planet at all.
You weren't even a thought.
I was not even a thought. The OJ chase happened during that time when the Cowboys were winning Super Bowls. All I've experienced has been divisional round knockouts, okay? Twice. That's all I've gotten. And every other year it's usually underwhelming teams hyping ourselves up to be this great team and then getting kicked out by either the Giants or the Eagles or the San Francisco 49ers or the Green Bay Packers. Pick whatever NFC team that I hate, and it's probably the correct choice. And here we are in another situation. It's the divisional round. We'll get to it in a moment, but it's the divisional round. It's the San Francisco 49ers. It's redemption. That's what I'm hoping for. But you're probably right. Brock Purdy's probably going to throw like 400 yards or whatever. But hey, at least we could say we beat Tom Brady in the playoffs. I don't care if he's 45. I don't care that the offense was anemic around him. But we'll get to all that. I'm going to save the rant for later. But before we even talk about football, I was telling you this before we started recording. We're going off the run sheet here. We're ripping up the format. And
you can't do that. You have to follow the format.
This is my show. Of course I can rip the format.
Did Goldberg follow the script? No.
He refused to follow the script. I've actually been recently listening to a TNA, what do you call it? A deep dive into Hogan coming back into TNA with Bischoff, and Bischoff did something similar where he was like, where's the run sheet, and ripped the run sheet live on TV. But in classic TNA fashion, that was the actual run sheet And so they had to scramble a little bit to figure out what was going on in the show to kind of catch themselves up. On the
Don't rip up the actual run sheet.
Yes.
Don't rip up the actual one.
Yeah.
Don't do it.
If you're going to rip up a run sheet, at least the copy of it, you know what I mean? Instead of the actual one. But the reason why we're going to rip up the run sheet is because I saw this news coming out of Ottawa yesterday that tore my heart. And it's something, it's an institution in Ottawa, and it has to be discussed. We have to put it on air here. And we have a lot of Ottawa listeners to this show, so I feel like it's okay I can bring this up. But even then, it is very much an institution in Ottawa. 99 Rideau, the Rideau St McDonald's, is permanently closing in April. Oh,
the GOAT.
The GOAT. One of the GOAT McDonald's in Ottawa.
The Tom Brady of McDonald's.
That's right. Are we talking 2007 perfect season Tom Brady, or 45-year-old Tom Brady with the 8-9 Tampa Bay Buccaneers?
We're talking about recent divorcee Tom Brady.
Yeah, it's
his life is in shambles. He kisses his son on the lips and can't win playoff games. Yeah. We're talking about that Tom Brady.
That's right. And we're talking about the Rideau St McDonald's. I was so heartbroken when I saw that news yesterday. I don't know about you, Reisler, but I definitely have some stories about that Rideau St McDonald's, having worked only a few blocks away from that location and seeing some stuff happening. And guess what? Getting to work at 4 a.m. across from the Rideau St McDonald's. But an institution in Ottawa permanently closing, my friend.
I'm fortunate enough that, I'm working in Muskoka now and I love it here, but it's been 4 years since I last worked in Ottawa, and there are still shirts of mine that have that Rideau St McDonald's stench on them. Can't get that stench out. Oh. It's like when you get it's there's things on your shirts that you just can't get out. The wine stain on a white shirt. If you end up getting gasoline or diesel fuel dumped on your shirt, you can never get that smell out. You can also never get the smell out of the Rideau St McDonald's. Yeah. It is on there forever.
There's a certain je ne sais quoi when it comes to the stench at that Rideau St McDonald's.
Yeah, okay, sure.
You can take that however you want, but it is certainly recognizable. How about that? When you walk into that Rideau St McDonald's, it smells like, I should say, a combination of all the worst smells you could think of, kind of rolled into one. And there's certainly been a lot of activity there over the last decades now, that Rideau St McDonald's, and it's also the source of a viral video. Some may remember a couple of years ago with I believe the video is called UFC Ottawa or something like that. And it's that famous video of a fight breaking out, because of course it's the Rideau St McDonald's. A fight breaks out there every 2 days there, and I think I'm being generous when I say that. And of course, the guy walking in, and what does he walk in with? Well, of course, some raccoons. I mean, who wouldn't bring raccoons to your local McDonald's establishment?
Yeah, I mean, I know many raccoons that love McDonald's. They love Big Macs. They love the fries.
That's right.
I mean, come on. Yeah. Who doesn't love McDonald's fries? Oh,
I mean, it's the place to be. It's what I said yesterday on my social media platforms. I said the place to be at 4 a.m. It was the Rideau St McDonald's, because I will say, as somebody that had to work the mornings across from that location, I have witnessed an arrest go down there. That was fun. Guy didn't want to get out of his desk, so he was pinned on the top of the table. I remember that. I've seen at least one fight. I haven't seen some of the more graphic stuff that some others have said, people openly pooping on the floor, or other lewd activities going on around that location. But I don't know if you have any fond memories or any recollections of your time going through the 99 Rideau St McDonald's.
I mostly used it to cut through to get to the Rideau Center, yes. The other side of the Rideau Center. I never spent much time in it because I am a smart man.
Yeah,
and I value many things in life, and not smelling badly is one of them.
You actually have pride for yourself, and I really do appreciate that.
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah, it's I will say I did not have a lot of pride, mainly because when it's the only thing open at 4 a.m. and you're too tired to try and cook something up at 3 a.m. when you're waking up. McDonald's seems like the very luxurious option at that time. But
gourmet food. It's a regular Baton Rouge.
That's right. You get a whole selection of different items to eat there. But I was usually going there just to kind of get my sausage McMuffin, and then I'm out of there. I'm not staying that much longer. And the 99 Rideau Street McDonald's. What a legacy it leaves behind. This wasn't the McDonald's, but Rideau Street in general has always been a little rougher part of the city of Ottawa. But I remember I was going to take the bus down to see a comedy show with a couple of friends. And I was in the Tim Hortons Rideau Street. The Rideau Street Tim Hortons, I should say. And which is also not great. But McDonald's just has the more, it's the more notorious one, obviously, for many reasons. But,
I mean, let's be honest. No self-respecting Canadian would take a dump on the floor in a Tim Hortons. Come on now.
Exactly.
Timmy's is a sacred cathedral that does not deserve to be desecrated.
Yes, that's right. It's a recognized religion here in Canada, and
come on.
it's unbelievable. But I was in line at the Tim Hortons. This wasn't like in the middle of the night or anything like that. This was like, I think I want to say 6 o'clock or whatever. And I'm standing in line, and really I'm just there so I can just get some change for the bus. And lo and behold, I'm looking outside at the front of the Tim Hortons, and two groups of people converging together, yelling at each other. I want to say there was about 20, 25 people, and they were just slowly converging on each other. One group was a bunch of females, the other group was a bunch of males. And the females, man, they could throw down. It was something. It escalated. They were throwing bombs on them. And I will never forget, there's a little, what do you call it? You could sit and look outside the window. You have a little table or whatever, looking outside the window. One of the people, this fight's breaking down. It's like multiple people in this fight. One person from the group goes into the Tim Hortons, grabs a water bottle that's inside that Tim Hortons, goes back outside, uncorks the water bottle, and just chucks it into the crowd to try and hit somebody with it. It's like, hey, try to find any weapon you can. I guess a plastic water bottle will do. But
spring weapons match.
Yeah,
classic
exactly.
ECW.
That's right. Right in the heart of Rideau Street. A Rideau street fight, if you will. But I will never forget that, and the people rolling across the window as this fight was breaking down, and all of us in this line, nobody's saying anything. We're just looking at this fight going down, right?
Yeah, it's just Rideau Street. What are you going to do?
It was another day on Rideau. And so, R.I.P. Rest in piss, the 99 Rideau Street McDonald's. Literally, it will probably rest in piss.
F in chat, and the F stands for feces.
Yes, absolutely. So I just wanted to get that out there. I wanted to send express my heartfelt condolences for the 99 Rideau Street McDonald's. A lot of stories. Yeah,
McDonald's is in the mud. What are they ever going to do?
Exactly. They're never going to recover from this.
The downfall of McDick's.
That's right. All right. Now that we've gotten that out of the way, I wanted to get my McDonald's eulogy out of the way, the 99 Rideau Street eulogy out of the way. Let's talk some football here, my friend. I know your Colts are not in it, but I'm sure you've been keeping an eye on the playoffs and seeing how things are going down and what's going on in the offseason. So we'll start with an update on the recent hirings and firings going around in the NFL, and we'll give the latest on Sean Payton watch. What is he going to do for the upcoming season? But first, we'll start with the latest hirings. So since last week, a couple of teams have got their general manager, so that will help them with their search for a head coach. We'll start with the Arizona Cardinals. Monty Austinfort will be the general manager for the Arizona Cardinals. He spent the last 3 seasons as the Titans director of player personnel, and he was hired back on January 16th. Obviously, the Cardinals, it's a little bit rough for them. No Cliff Kingsbury, letting him go. Steve Keim, the previous general manager, health reasons, he's out. I think he would have been gone either way if he wasn't experiencing health reasons. But the Arizona Cardinals, where do you think they kind of stand now? Like, where do you think they should go? Should be a big rebuild here, or where do you kind of stand with the Cardinals, just kind of looking from afar?
Well, it's tough, right? You mentioned the big thing. They don't have a head coach right now. They got to find a nice head coach, and as we'll get to, there are a lot of them available, but there's also a lot of teams that need a head coach. One thing, though, I think that Austin Fort has on his side is that he has Kyler Murray, right? That's a pretty attractive piece for any coach to come in and already have a star, maybe some would even say a franchise quarterback. So that is a big benefit to him. Still, though, I think he mentioned that he hadn't got a chance to talk to him yet, did Austin Fort. So hopefully that call goes well, because wouldn't that be a disaster if the first call with the GM ends and they hate each other, and there you go. That's a terrible start.
Yeah.
And I think I saw too, Cardinals have something like 30 or so pending free agents.
Yes.
That's a lot to deal with, on top of having to, now he has plenty of time. He's here well before the draft, so now you have to prepare for that. You're gonna have a high pick there, so that's a lot of work for a guy to come in and say, step into and deal with right off the bat.
Yeah, that's going to be a lengthy look at that Microsoft Excel spreadsheet, and looking at all the players with pending contracts coming up. And there's also been talk, we saw a report as well of DeAndre Hopkins maybe on the move again outside of Arizona. I don't know if that's the right move for Arizona at this point. You want to still give a receiving option for Kyler Murray, and I don't know if Hollywood Brown could be the wide receiver one for that squad that could slot in there. But certainly it seems like if they are kind of teasing DeAndre Hopkins, at least trying to test the market with him, you would have to expect he would garner a lot of whether it be draft picks, and if they are trying to get a whole bunch of picks, I would imagine they're going to try and rebuild a little bit and try to get themselves going, because we have seen in the NFL it's not necessarily a 5-year plan to rebuild. In some cases, sometimes it can take within 2 years if you're a really well run franchise in terms of rebuilding. So something to kind of keep an eye on there in Arizona.
Yeah, it certainly will be interesting, because it's not often where you see teams go into a rebuilding mode, whether it's short or long term, when you have a quarterback that's in his very early 20s, or I think Kyler Murray's 25, still early 20s, just going into the prime of his career. It's not often that you see teams with a star quarterback like that going into a rebuild. So you would hope, and I would imagine that the plan is, if they do end up trading Hopkins, they will get a boatload of draft picks, or at least a few good receivers or players that could take a year or two to develop, and in a year or two they will become very good players. Because I would imagine you don't want to waste too many years of Kyler Murray's career the way he plays, because you don't know how long he will be at a peak level that he is currently. We're already seeing him deal with some injuries, right? So you don't really want to play around with a quarterback that likes to play the way Murray does.
Yeah, totally. And also coming off an ACL injury for next year, that'll be something to keep an eye on there as well. Now let's go to your division. We're going to talk about the Tennessee Titans here for a moment. We're going to talk about Rand Carthen being named the general manager for the Titans. They finalized the hire. Former 49ers director of player personnel. And that hiring happened back on January 17th. How do you sort of analyze, you know the division a little bit better when it comes to the AFC South, or sorry, not the AFC South, the AFC West, isn't it?
No, you were right. South.
That's right.
yeah.
North,
that's the
South,
South.
East, and West. It's the same division, but
it's just one big division.
That's right.
One big mess.
They're all in the AFC. I know that, but yes. In terms of the Titans, where they kind of stand in the AFC South, how do you kind of view that squad? At the start of the year, a lot of people kind of pegged them, including myself, I will say, pegged them as the top team in the division. They have that long losing streak, get themselves out of playoff contention. Where do you think the Titans kind of stand now as a division rival, kind of looking ahead?
Well, they're one of many teams that need a quarterback. I can't imagine they will be bringing back Tannehill. And if you wanted a quarterback and you wanted a guy that had relationships with quarterbacks, well, you picked a good guy, taking the guy that used to work for the 49ers, who now have three quarterbacks that I would say are worthy of being starters in Garoppolo, Purdy, and Trey Lance. Trey Lance, I don't know if you saw this, Zach, but just a few hours, or might have been the day not too long after we got hired, he tweeted, "Fingers crossed" emoji. So obviously, we don't know what kind of relationship Carthen had with Trey Lance with the 49ers, but judging from the fact that he tweeted that, one could deduce that they likely had a pretty good relationship. So if you are looking for someone to bring someone in that can bring with him a good quarterback or find a good quarterback, well, might have found your guy. I mean, Trey Lance still hasn't really proved himself to be a good quarterback, but he had the talent to be a top pick. So there has to be something there that can be worked on, and maybe if he's in a difference, maybe he needs a change of scenery. Sometimes we see that, especially with quarterbacks. You take them out of one team, out of one system, plop them on another team with a new system, and they are able to succeed. Geno Smith being a great recent example. So maybe this is the same kind of situation. Now, of course, we don't know what the situation with the 49ers quarterbacks will be yet, but it is fair. They do have three. They can't keep all three. One of them or multiple have to go. So I think the Titans have positioned themselves to be in a good spot to pick one of them up, and it looks like they probably already know which one they would prefer.
I think that's fair, and that's interesting too, because obviously they drafted Malik Willis last season, and we've seen how he's played so far in the times that he's had to fill in for Tannehill. Still very raw prospect, and so if you believe in the development of Malik Willis, I think he's a guy you want to kind of develop a little bit further. And so if you kind of get somebody that's a little bit more solid, you mentioned Trey Lance, I could also see you want to talk about at least stability wise, like he's not going to light up the world or anything like that, but Jimmy G could be an easy fit for Tennessee as well if you were looking for somebody short term to kind of carry you through. And I think Jimmy G could be something. I think has the slightly better edge than Tannehill. Not by much, but certainly a bit of an edge. And again, seeing how Willis has played this past season, it's pretty clear to me he's not ready to be a starter yet. Far from it, if anything, to be honest. Maybe
the Titans can just ruin my day and sign Tom Brady. Just ruin my life and just say, you know what? Screw you, Colts fans. We're gonna sign Tom Brady and just ruin everything for you.
I will ease those nerves and say I doubt that Tom Brady will go to Tennessee. I don't think that's
highly doubt it. Highly doubt it. But wouldn't that just suck for me specifically?
Yeah, it would suck for you. I would just get a big laugh out of it. But
of course.
Look, again, I know I'm projecting here, but look, I've taken so much over the last couple of years. Let me have this one.
Oh, you can have it. It's all yours.
But yeah, just kind of looking at the Titans, and I think their window is starting to close a little bit. They've got a good coach in Mike Vrabel, but I think their window is starting to close a little bit here. Derrick Henry is only going to get older, and the receiving options that they kind of went with the risk to trade A.J. Brown and try and have him fill in with Treylon Burks has not really worked out well on their end. So I think the window is starting to close on the Titans here. And so if they firmly believe that they're still a playoff team and they could still contend, I think they got to find one of those short-term solutions in a Jimmy G or whichever quarterback goes in. I could totally see Geno Smith coming in for a year or two in Tennessee as well. But
wouldn't that be something?
That would be very interesting. And I've also seen too, Geno Smith going back to the Jets, because obviously their quarterback situation is a nightmare. Other than Mike White,
he doesn't deserve that.
No,
Geno escaped New York, and he doesn't need to go back. Go somewhere else. I know we'll get to it later on, but his rise was one of my favorite parts of the season. So he doesn't need to go back to New York. Go somewhere else. Anywhere else except Cleveland.
Yeah, anywhere else except Cleveland. Geno Smith, Home Alone 2'd his way out of New York. But speaking of Cleveland, that's a great transition there, my friend. To talk about a defensive coordinator hire. And the reason why I want to bring this up is because the Browns defense was just straight up bad this past season. And I think it was one of the hindrances in their contention in the AFC North. I know I got that division right. But Jim Schwartz has been hired as defensive coordinator. You may remember him as the head coach of the Detroit Lions for a couple of years there. He's been on the defensive side ever since then. He recently winning a Super Bowl with the Philadelphia Eagles. And he gets back in the defensive coordinator role for the Browns. I think it's an upgrade for the Browns, and there's certainly some things kind of going around. We've heard about the Jadeveon and Clowney stuff. I know he recently apologized for some of his outbursts there, but it's Cleveland, so you can never take things for granted there. But Jim Schwartz being hired by the Browns, just kind of looking at this Browns franchise, I think they addressed their biggest weakness, and that's the defensive side of the ball.
Yeah, I mean, the defense was horrendous last year. What was it? They allowed, 135 rushing yards a game?
It was pretty bad, yeah.
That's terrible. Yeah. Like, if a running back for one game gets 135 yards, that's a great game. Like, yes. Awesome job. You did great. You did your job. The Browns allowed that every game. That's horrendous. Yes. So, I think with Jim Schwartz, he is a great defensive coach. He is a great defensive mind, I should say. So it is certainly an upgrade. You certainly can't do worse, I would hope. Mm-hmm. You have a few pieces on that defense that look okay. So it is an uphill battle, though. But I think you hired the right guy to fight that battle. Now you just need, almost every year, it's the same case of Cleveland. You get maybe one or two good pieces, whether it's a coach or a couple of good players or both. But then there are 100 million other pieces that they have not filled into the puzzle, and the season just falls apart. So one good piece is there. They need a few more to complete that very big puzzle.
Yes, absolutely. They've got a piece in Myles Garrett there, obviously, and but yeah, it's going to be a little bit of some patching up, some fixing up on that Browns side to try and get things going, because I think they're good on the offensive side of the ball, depending on if Deshaun Watson gets back to his full level of play. But obviously running back as well, Nick Chubb I still think has a couple good years left in him, and a good offensive line. Amari Cooper is the receiver there. I think if they focus on that defense, I think they'll be all right and be competitive in the AFC North. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, yeah, I agree with you with the Deshaun Watson point. I mean, he's not a good person, unfortunately, but sadly, he is a good football player. So that gives him some forgiveness, I guess, for being a bad person.
Yes. In the eyes of the franchise, yes.
Yeah, well, yeah, I get in the eyes of Cleveland, he is a great person, but in the eyes of everyone else, not so much.
Yeah.
If he can get his feet on the ground week one and play like the Sean Watson that we saw a few years ago in Houston before he went down with an injury, when he was a very early season MVP candidate, I think that Cleveland has a good shot. But as I said, as it usually is of Cleveland, there are a lot of pieces that need to fall into place.
Yeah.
And he is one of them. And there are still many more to fall into place that need to fall into place.
100%. I will throw this out there and then we'll move on. Cleveland has their own Ben Roethlisberger on their hands. That's all I will say.
Yep.
Moving on, we'll talk about some of the firings going on, but a lot of the firings that happened were with these playoff teams. So we're going to save some of those firings for when we talk about the different games happening over the Super Wildcard Weekend. But I do want to mention the latest on Sean Payton watch. Where is Sean Payton going to go? There's a lot of open head coaching positions. Hey, the Colts have an open head coaching position there. Is Sean Payton getting interviewed for the Indianapolis Colts job there, Reisler?
He has not been interviewed yet, but there are a few people that have been rumored that haven't been interviewed yet. Jim Harbaugh is one of them.
Ooh.
Still waiting for him.
Yeah.
Michigan. He's supposed to be leaving them, but we haven't heard anything from them. So we're still waiting on that. He's supposed to want to come to the Colts. That hasn't happened. So
I think he's staying at Michigan. I think that's the.
Did I totally miss that?
Maybe. I thought I read somewhere that he was staying at Michigan, unless he said, because I know he at least told the Broncos he wasn't going to take their head coaching job anyways. So I think he's back at Michigan. I know he was saying, at least to reporters, that he was, as of this moment, he's staying. But I felt like I read somewhere that he was staying. But
well, I'm looking it up. I don't see anything saying that definitively from the source,
Gotcha.
Jim Harbaugh, saying that he wants to stay. So at this point, it looks like it's just a rumor, and maybe it's just a situation where he wants to get. Maybe he's seeing how much some other coaches might be making, and he's saying, "Well, wait a second, I should be making that much." So he's trying to kind of dangle the carrot in front of their face and pull it back a little bit, then put it back in front of them, and try to get himself some more cash.
Yes, absolutely. I will say I'm just kind of searching up here. So this is according to Broncos Wire that I've seen this year. Broncos coach candidate Jim Harbaugh to remain at Michigan after he told Denver Broncos that he was going to stay. So I think,
interesting.
So unfortunately, no Jim Harbaugh to the Colts for you, my friend. He would have been a good fit, honestly, the way his offense runs. It's a very run-heavy offense. And, hey, they've got a pretty good running back in Jonathan Taylor there. But, again, as long as you don't run him into the ground. It looks
it's
like
too bad. The reunion won't happen. The former QB will not come back to coach the Colts.
That's right. Instead, he'll just be the former QB of Michigan, once again returning to Michigan.
Yeah.
But getting back to Sean Payton, the latest so far, he's completed interviews with the Broncos and Texans. And if he has not interviewed the Panthers already at this point, he's going to interview with them this week. And apparently he's seeking to be paid $20 to $25 million per season. So that's a hefty price tag for Sean Payton. And also the Saints, who have the rights to Payton's contract, are seeking a first-round pick for him as well. And the first thing that I thought of when I heard that Sean Payton was going to be looking for this sort of cash and could potentially fit was the Denver Broncos in my mind. New ownership wanting to spend to show that they are committed to the team, and what better way to make a splash and try and fix Russell Wilson than bringing in Sean Payton. But your thoughts on the latest on Sean Payton watch? Where do you think he's going to go? And just different options for Sean Payton.
I loved watching the pregame show on Fox. That's where Sean Payton's doing his analysis for now until he gets a coaching job. I loved it because at one point they just started grilling him. Strahan and everyone just started grilling him, saying, "Sean, where are you going? Where are you going? Where are you going?" That poor guy looks so uncomfortable. I felt so bad I felt as bad as I could for a guy that's likely about to make $20 to $30 million to stand on the sideline and call plays, but he looked so uncomfortable, and it was just awful because they were going on him for a couple of minutes, and he just said, "Where are you going?" "Oh, I hear you're talking to the Broncos. I hear you're talking to this team, that team." It was fun to watch though.
Yes.
But it was amusing to see how uncomfortable he got.
Yeah, just getting a little bit more uncomfortable, kind of tucking in like a turtle a little bit, just kind of turtling a little bit. Sean Payton watch still in full effect. I could totally see him going to the Broncos. I
can see it.
I think the Texans are not even like in contention. I just get a vibe that the Texans absolutely blew it. Which considering the Texans, it's not that far-fetched. But
I mean, if you're Sean Payton, then you're leaving a cushy job at Fox. Where you get to sit in the studio and just talk football all day, no stress, no anxiety about having to prepare for anyone, and you are taking a coaching job again. I would imagine you want one where you can jump in immediately, and there is a little work that needs to be done to build yourself into being a contender. And I think, as you said, it's a good situation in Denver. Maybe it's not immediately a playoff contender, but there are the pieces there that he needs, just a few pieces more, maybe more weapons on offense, and he'd be okay. But I think I agree with you. That's a good situation for him in Denver to jump right into and leave that nicely air-conditioned studio.
Exactly. I know it's not brought up there as well, but could Arizona be in contention as well? I haven't seen anything about him requesting or being requested for an interview with Arizona, but I think that's an under the radar pick. We were talking about quarterback earlier with Kyler Murray. We'll see how he does coming off of an injury, but you've already got a quarterback there, and you kind of have a couple of pieces there, not elite running backs, but some good running backs there. I think that could be a team that may be in contention if they wanted to, throw their hat in the ring. I know it seems unlikely at this point, but I don't think it's that far fetched.
It would be interesting because the similarities are there in terms of the quarterback, not the same injury, but right. You remember when Sean Payton took over in New Orleans, you have Drew Brees, who was looked at by many as a broken quarterback because of the I know it was an elbow injury that he had in San Diego. Yeah. I forget the exacts of it, but he was looked at as a QB that you can't win with him. He's not durable enough. Mm-hmm. Not the same situation of Kyler, but he is an QB coming off a major injury. So it would be interesting to see if Sean Payton would come in and work the same kind of magic there that he had with Drew Brees all those years ago. It would be a cool story for sure.
Yeah. Dolphins fans still pounding their fists on the desk.
Oh, God.
Signing Dante Culpepper over him. And look, at the time, like I bet you if we transported back to 2006 and they were talking about the Dolphins signing Dante Culpepper over Drew Brees, I'm sure like 80 to 90% of people there would say that was the right move because Culpepper.
It's the benefit of hindsight. It's the benefit of hindsight, right? You just don't know. Again, people looked at Drew Brees and thought, there's no way this guy comes back. He wasn't much in San Diego before the injury. Now he's got this major elbow injury. How the hell is he going to throw? No one knew, and all they saw in Dante Culpepper was a quarterback that played pretty damn well in Minnesota. No health issues, minor health issues, and I don't think they were wrong to think that. But with the benefit of hindsight, of course, everyone's a winner.
Yeah, it's amazing what happens when you have Randy Moss on your team. To make you
tell me about it.
Yeah, but I will say I think in the case of Culpepper, he just kind of regressed quicker than I think people expected him to, and he like there are some times like you look at some old Dante Culpepper clips, and just kind of see his throw, especially his arm, just his arm strength. Like he had a good arm. It was just unfortunate how it just didn't come together in Miami. But as you mentioned, it's just kind of funny. The benefit of hindsight, I bet you at the time that people were like, oh, signing Culpepper was the right move. Now, lo and behold, Drew Brees is going to go in the Hall of Fame, first ballot. And Culpepper will be remembered as a very good quarterback, especially at his peak with Minnesota and bringing some of those Minnesota teams to the playoffs. But certainly a miss.
Culpepper will definitely go into the Madden NFL Hall of Fame. He was one of the best quarterbacks to play with. I think it was Madden 02. Mm-hmm. Culpepper Culpepper to Moss.
Yeah.
The combination was unstoppable, but Dante Culpepper in that game was unbefrickin-leavable. So not NFL Hall of Fame, Madden Hall of Fame, which I think is just as prestigious.
That's right. Maybe a Madden curse. Maybe that's where the Madden curse kind of comes in, though. You know what I mean? Maybe that's where the downfall sort of happened.
He was on the cover. He was on the cover of 02, wasn't he?
I believe he was.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, I'm looking at it right now. He was the cover. So there you go. You're right.
Yeah. Yeah, he was still having some good years after that, and then obviously just quite a drop off after that. But Dante Culpepper, he was a good quarterback. I see. This is why I like bringing you on, because I can throw out a name from the early to mid 2000s. You'd be like, yeah, I remember Dante Culpepper, of course. And I can.
Well, see, that was the prime of me playing sports video games. So of course I knew all the best players. Right now, I can't afford to pay $80 for a roster update every year because my mom isn't buying it for me anymore. So I don't remember every single player as well.
Yeah.
As I did when I was cheating to get all the best players on my team back in the day.
That's right. When I played Madden 05 on the GameCube, I had they had Ty Law in free agency, and I would always sign Ty Law on the Cowboys. And the defensive backs for the Cowboys were like, it was like Terrence Newman, Anthony Henry, Aaron Glenn, who's now the defensive coordinator for the Lions. It was like boom, 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 and then here's Ty Law as well. Just an incredible defensive back foursome there for the Cowboys.
We'll get to this, of course, in the game recaps, but was seeing Asante Samuel Jr.
Yes.
play so well gave me like PTSD from his dad beating the crap out of the Colts every friggin' year in the playoffs, and Ty Law in the playoffs every year. I was like, oh, just a shiver down my spine hearing the name Asante Samuel.
Yeah.
Ugh.
It's we're at that point now where it's like Joe Horn's son, J.C. Horn, is playing for the Panthers, and coming up in the draft, Joey Porter Jr. is playing. So
Cooper Manning.
Oh my God, that'll be something. Arch Manning. Yes, that's right. Arch.
His dad is Cooper.
His dad is Cooper. Yes.
Yeah.
Arch Manning. Yeah, that's going to be something to keep an eye on.
50 plus year old analyst Cooper Manning is coming out of retirement to play in the NFL.
That's right. Coming off the bench, he's ready to go. His arm is loose, and he's going to fire it downfield. Yes, Arch Manning, that's going to be interesting, especially the situation he's going to at Texas with Quinn Ewers as the starting quarterback there. But nonetheless, this is why I love having you on. I can say these names, and you understand what I'm saying.
I understand.
You understand. Let's go to the Super Wildcard Weekend rundown. Do you like calling it Super Wildcard Weekend, or do you just prefer Wildcard Weekend, or just the Wild Card? I know they've been trying to like gimmick up the weekends a little bit in recent years, the NFL, because the NFL is king, so they always got to try and make a big event out of everything.
Well, it's like the Universal Championship in WWE. It's just silly, and it's all the same thing. Just it's just a gimmick, right? It's just to make it sound like it's a bigger deal than what it is, and you have the extra playoff team now, so they're trying to make it sound like it's super cool. It's just Wild Card Weekend. It's Wild Card Weekend.
It's kind of like but think of it this way: it's the upgrade from the Nintendo Entertainment System to the Super Nintendo Entertainment System. Think of it like that.
Right. Yes. Exactly. I try to think of a good video game and football related pun, but I've got nothing.
Ah, man. I try to set you up for another one and let me down. At least I could get my Madden 05 takes off. But
yeah, my joke went wide left, much like Brett Maher. I apologize.
We're gonna save that for. I'm definitely gonna talk about that. I got a lot to say about that, but. You know what? I have been kind of ribbing you for the entirety of the episode. I did deserve that, but still uncalled for. Nonetheless, let's talk about the 49ers and the Seahawks. Let's just kind of get the weakest game of the weekend out of the way, which was the game that started the whole Super Wildcard Weekend. 49ers, it seemed close at half, and then the 49ers just absolutely continue their winning ways into the second half. Brock Purdy, he had a big game. Rookie. Mr. Irrelevant, throwing for 332 passing yards and 3 touchdowns. I just like to remind everybody he was the last pick in this past year's draft, which just blows my mind. I don't know if it's him or if it's the system that Shanahan has, probably a little bit of both, but he's certainly like taking the opportunities that he's had and running with it. Sure, he may have one of the best tight ends in the league and maybe one of the best wide receivers in the league and one of the best running backs in the league and Christian McCaffrey and maybe the best left tackle in the league. But hey, Brock Purdy is able to make the most of it. So who am I to judge? Meanwhile, on the Seattle side, hey, everything was gravy for Seattle this year, man. It was not expected for Seattle to even make the playoffs. So the fact that they were able to make it this far, I think was just gravy for the Seahawks at this point, proving a lot of people wrong. Let's just talk about the Seahawks first. Let's talk about Geno Smith. A little bit, not one of his better games. It seemed like he was starting to dip a little bit in the second half of the season, and it kind of continued into the playoff game here. Again, the Niners able to really lay it on the second half. Where do you think the Seahawks go with Geno? Do you think they should look to bring him back, or do you think with a look at the quarterback pool this year in the draft, do you think maybe they try and go young again and try and find a little bit better than Geno? And certainly Geno Smith is certainly an inspiring story, able to come off the bench and have a Pro Bowl season, whatever the Pro Bowl means this year, but nonetheless still an all-star. Where do we kind of look at Geno at this point?
It's interesting, right? Because as he said, no one thought that they'd make the playoffs. They thought that this is them getting some stuff for Russell Wilson, and Wilson would be in the Broncos would be in the Super Bowl, and Seahawks would be fighting for the first overall pick. And meanwhile, it was the complete opposite. Yeah. If it's me, I think you give Gino the benefit of the doubt, and you say, I think that this was a good season from a good quarterback. And I mean, I use the word roll the dice, but I don't think that's the right term, but I'll use it anyway. And you re-sign him. I think that's your starting quarterback. I think that's your guy, because this is not the year where you want to say. There are a lot of good free agent quarterbacks, but there are a lot of teams that need a quarterback as well. And this is definitely not the year for you to gamble on a quarterback in the draft, because there aren't any. And again, there are a lot of teams going for the two quarterbacks that are potentially going to be going in the top 5, top 10 first round. So this is not the year to really be saying, well, let's try to get a new starter. I think you have your guy in Gino. You give him another year, see where you are next year, or you sign him long term and say, this is our guy. If it's me, I think you sign him short term and see where you land in the next couple of years. But I think with Gino, you have something good. I think you stick with him.
Yeah, I kind of look at a situation with Gino where maybe they try and sign him to a contract similar to how they signed Taylor to the Washington Commanders, how they signed Taylor Heineke to their deal, where it was like a much earned, bigger money deal, but it wasn't like the 7-year, $150 million deal or anything like that. They gave him a 2-year, I think it was a 2-year, $20 million deal. He got paid $10 million a season for his part for the Commanders. That's where I kind of see Gino, at least for maybe like a 1 or 2 year deal. You pay him a little bit more than what you were paying him beforehand. And he's clearly got some rhythm with this offense, and they've got a really fun young running back in Kenneth Walker. That's a guy that will be in contention for Offensive Rookie of the Year as well at the end of the season. And you still have at least one, I would say two, with wide receivers, with obviously DK Metcalf in there, and Tyler Lockett could still make some plays at this stage of his career. So they've got something there, and I think if you just kind of build on that offensive line and defense continues to get better, the Seattle they could make a little bit more noise. And if Gino is able to continue his play, that could be somebody to kind of keep an eye on. But hey, I think if you're a Seahawks fan, you're very happy with how the season's going after all you've heard and from they're not going to make the playoffs. They'll probably be in contention for a top 5 pick. Well, they are in contention for a top 5 pick, but not because of their pick. It's because of the Broncos pick being involved there. But I'd have to say, if you're a Seahawks fan, you're pretty happy with how this season turned out.
Yeah, I mean, look at you have a guy that could be your quarterback for the next couple of years in Geno Smith, and as you said, you have that top pick that, I mean, really, it's just gravy. It's a cherry on top of the cake. It's you can trade it, and you're in no better shape than you would have been with. You're in no worse shape because it wasn't your pick to begin with, or you keep it and you're a team that made the playoffs and it is in good shape and now has a pretty good prospect to build on and fit into that team. So if you're if a Seahawk fan, you went from being pretty down in the dumps this time last year or around this time last year to being I would say in a pretty good mood. You have to think.
Totally. We'll talk a little bit more about the 49ers, going into the playoff preview and a lot with the winning teams. We'll kind of talk about them a little bit more in the playoff preview, but just kind of tying the Seahawks segment into a bow here. Yeah, I agree with you. It's a good season, and I'm interested to see how they draft, because they got a high draft pick, and I doubt they're going to go with a QB or anything like that either. There's some really good defensive prospects out there. There's a defensive tackle from Georgia that I think could be a real good fit if he's able to fall to where the Seahawks land in the draft. So that's just kind of something to kind of keep an eye on there. And let's go to the other game on Saturday. It was 27-0 for the Chargers, ending at the end of the first half. Trevor Lawrence was not looking good. Not a great showing for him in the first half, but then the meme of they had us in the first half, not going to lie, came to life, because the Jaguars were able to pull off an improbable comeback victory, the third biggest comeback in playoff history, with the Jaguars able to win 31-30. And this loss was so bad that the Chargers had to fire offensive coordinator Joe Lombardi and quarterback coach Shane Day. at the end of it all. And I think in some people's mind, I think Brandon Staley should be another coach that should get their pink slip and be walking out the door.
Yeah, I think so too. I don't think there are many that disagree with you. Yeah, that was a rough game. I think Kyle Van Noy, one of the linebackers on the Chargers, straight up just said they choked.
Yep.
Like I don't know how you put that any other way than they choked. Like if you're up 14-0 and you lose, well, the other team played better. That wasn't a 14-0 game. You just like that. That's you lose that game. That's rough. It was, and at the end of the game, Joey Bosa, seeing him just melt down, and really, I think it's fair to say he gave the Jaguars an opportunity to win on that last drive when they kicked the winning field goal. Because if he didn't act like a fool, he wouldn't have gotten that penalty. So Joey Bosa certainly didn't help the situation. And then seeing his coach, such a lovely man, Joey Bosa tossed his helmet. His coach wouldn't have picked it up for him. How nice of him to do that. Really teaching your players a lesson to not act a fool. Because if you do, he will pick up after you. It's just so nice.
That's right.
Really teaching him a lesson there.
That's
Good
right.
job.
Yeah, absolutely. And he respected him so much that he threw his helmet down on the ground one more time once he got the helmet passed over to him.
A real player's coach.
Yeah, 100% here. The Chargers chargered. This is just a classic case of the I was going to call them San Diego again. The Los Angeles Chargers continuing their choking ways, and there are times on this show where I openly question my Dallas Cowboys fandom, but then I see losses like this with the Chargers, then I realize, it could be worse. It could be much worse, because at least with some seasons with the Cowboys, you knew they were not that great. But with the Chargers, they always bring you a whole bunch of hope, and they always tease you with the talent, and they always tease you with the coaching. They always tease you every year. It feels like they tease you with all this talent that they have, and they just never are able to put it together, and they either just inevitably crumble or choke or just don't even get out of the gates, which is really disappointing, because I think they've got a real talented quarterback in Justin Herbert. Really talented quarterback, and they've got weapons on that offensive side of the ball. Mike Williams, who they played, of course, playing their starters in the final week in a game that didn't mean anything for the Chargers, ranking-wise or playoff-wise or anything, and lo and behold, you play your starter, and Mike Williams gets hurt, and so they lose a receiving option there. But hey, you still got Keenan Allen, you still got Austin Eckler, and you still got some good players on the defensive side as well. And man, the Chargers just continue to charger. And it was, to me, what was very evident for me was just how out-coached they were, especially in the second half. Doug Peterson just took Brandon Staley to task, and I think Staley. I've been a guy that I think I jumped on the, hey, maybe Staley's not a great coach bandwagon sooner than some, but I think more people are starting to recognize it now. I think people are starting to see through, because at first he was kind of a guy, especially within the analytics community. And I've got nothing against analytics. I'm pro analytics, but I'm pro analytics to a fault. There were just times with Staley where it was just ridiculous analytical calls that he would make, and just made no sense. And in this case now, this is just another scenario of not being able to control the game, just some weird play calls as well. And on the opposite end, you got Doug Peterson. That play call to run the ball to ETN on the outside
on 4th and 1
is still just an incredible play call, and that's what you're getting with Doug Peterson. And having seen that with him being the coach of the Philadelphia Eagles, I'm happy to see that kind of carry over to the Jaguars.
And I know we don't usually talk about this on the podcast, but how bad were Al Michaels and Tony Dungy?
Oh God, they were horrible.
And man, like, it was so frustrating to me, because as a Colts fan, I know Tony Dungy better than anyone. He was the coach of my team in their best years. And I thought, this is going to be great. Tony Dungy, every time I hear him speak, he is so eloquent. He is so well thought out. He is so intelligent in how he speaks. He's calm. And I thought, this will be great. This will be great to have in the booth for a football game. Holy crap, was that ever boring?
Oh.
And Al Michaels, like, he will go down whenever he decides to retire. He will go down as one of the greatest football play-by-play men ever. Mm-hmm. This was horrible by him.
Yeah.
Like, you're calling one of the best playoff comebacks ever and you're calling it like it's a week 5 game between Cleveland and Jackson, some shitty team. Like it was unbelievable.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe what I was watching.
Yeah, it was brutal. It was like you I think you're giving it too much credit with a week 5 game. It sounded like they were calling golf. Like it was just like, to me, the cherry on top of the crappy Sunday was when that game winning kick, and immediately Michael's like, but a flag is down.
Yeah.
I was like, no, like wait, and like I was like, Al, you know this, like, come on. It's like, it's certainly not going to go into the highlight reel of great Al Michaels calls. And there's a lot of them. Don't get me wrong. Al Michaels is one of my favorite commentators of all time, but this was certainly not one of those games that will be a good reflection of his career.
It will not be on his highlight reel when he is inducted into Canton.
No, absolutely not.
This will not be there.
No, absolutely not. I was very disappointed with that. And it was one of those deals where it's like, man, I wish they kind of put Collingsworth with Michaels. I know Collingsworth is he's a hit for some people, he's a miss for others, but I guarantee you that Collingsworth would have gotten a lot more out of Al Michaels if he was in the booth than Tony Dungy. It was something.
You and I both know, we've both done commentary. It's very much a chemistry game, right? You when you work with someone you know and you like, and it makes it a lot easier. You flow, you make jokes, you make references. When you're with someone new, it's a bit difficult, and when you work with someone new for the first time in the playoffs on TV, in national TV in front of millions, that's not easy, even for the best.
Yeah, a lot of eyeballs there that were watching that one, especially in the second half. But yeah, it was quite disappointing, that game call from Michaels and Dungy. Really disappointing. It was just not great. But what was great was the Jaguars comeback. I'm enjoying this Jaguars run. Have they look like the best team? Absolutely not. But I think they've got some good coaching there, and I am enjoying the ascent of Trevor Lawrence and seeing him kind of get back into the form we were starting to see with him at Clemson. And he's got some good receiving options there, and we'll kind of break down the Jaguars a little bit more in their game against the Chiefs upcoming. But I think there's some exciting stuff with the Jaguars here, no matter what happens against the Chiefs. But we'll talk about that in a bit. We'll move on to Sunday, and we'll talk about the Bills and the Dolphins. And this was a game that was, I think, much closer than what people were expecting. I think a lot of people were expecting a Bills blowout with everything going on with Damar Hamlin, and obviously them being at home. And the Dolphins running on their third-string quarterback in Skylar Thompson. It seemed like everything was kind of in play for the Bills to dominate, and the Bills didn't dominate. They did win, but they certainly didn't dominate. They looked a little off. The Dolphins did bring into the Buffalo Bills. But speaking of off, we got to talk about the play calling for the Dolphins and
oh my God,
40-yard play clock. Tell me what's going on here. I guess we can kill two birds with one stone with this. I'm sure you saw the video of Mike McDaniel holding something up to his mouth just as the camera was being cut. Okay, let's settle this once and for all. Did Mike McDaniel vape during the game?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I think he might forget vaping. He might have just taken a puff. He might have had a joint in his hand, like the way the play calling was going. And I think that's a good excuse. Like,
yes.
Good Lord, was that ever rough? But I don't know. Like, I think we need to see more evidence here. Like, is there proof of Mike McDaniel being much of a vapor here, or is this something he's picked? As he picked it up as he's preparing for the playoffs, and he needs to relieve some stress, because you and I both work in news. We don't just go off of rumor here. We have to fact check these things. We have to call our sources.
That's right.
We have to get collaborating evidence.
That's
right. We can't just go off of rumor.
Of course.
But yeah, he totally vaped.
Yeah, I was just gonna say he totally vaped, didn't he? He totally did. So,
100%.
Yeah, 100%. Absolutely, just ripped one on the sideline, and I would explain the play calling, but yeah, it was like, you know what you mentioned, we're news people. How about we break it down, or do we want to just stick with the he totally vaped?
Rumor.
Okay,
vape.
Rumor.
He did.
Gotcha. All right.
Yeah.
Reckless speculation. I like it.
Yeah, forget it. Yeah,
forget
let's do it.
The play clock, it seemed like they were having some communication issues. Coach was calling a play thinking it was first down, ended up being fourth down and short, so they had to readjust the play call. And just so much going on. And when you've got a third string quarterback back there as well, that's also going to affect him. Just not a great set of circumstances for everyone involved, especially in a key moment of the game. And I'm a big McDaniel guy. I thought the stuff that he was kind of implemented in Miami, getting the best out of Tua and utilizing his two weapons in Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill and alternating between running backs. I think the offensive side was really something that was exciting and whatever. But just the play calling for this guy and Skylar Thompson just really didn't hold up for him, and kind of leads me to the next point. I didn't think Thompson was great, but I don't think he deserved most of the blame either. I thought there were some drop balls during that game as well. I could think of two off the top of my head from Waddle where I'm like, man, you got to help him. You got to help him out there. He's throwing these passes and it's just not hitting the targets and again, the play calls were just really off, especially for somebody that I think that we look at in Mike McDaniel under the Kyle Shanahan tree, somebody we kind of associate with good offenses, not really getting it done there.
Yeah, there's no way that you can put this blame on the shoulders of Skylar Thompson. If you are, that's just unfair, right? Like you're a third string quarterback. You didn't expect to play in this game. You expected to be in your sweats with a headset on, potentially calling some of the plays, or at least giving your opinions on some of the plays being called. I think considering the circumstances, he played about as well as he could have, right? Like I think he played okay. But that's about as well as you can expect a third string quarterback to play in a playoff game against a Super Bowl favorite in the Buffalo Bills. As for the Bills, and we'll expand on this, of course, when we talk about the games coming up, this is not the game you would have expected from them in any sense. It's just in no way were they working on all cylinders. Josh Allen had a surprisingly poor game. Like you, if you just look at the stat line, you'd say he played okay, right? You had 300 plus yards, 3 touchdowns, 2 picks, but 3 touchdowns, that's pretty good. He ran for a couple big gains, but a surprisingly, shockingly bad game from him. I don't think when you go up against the Bengals this week, if he puts out a game like this, it's not going to be as easy. I think he got lucky when you put up a game like this against the Dolphins. He got a little lucky because any other team, and I don't think it would have ended up as positively for the Bills as it did.
Yeah, it was definitely an odd performance for Josh Allen, and nearly starting to fight as well during that game. That was something. That was very uncharacteristic of Josh Allen there after after that one pick there. But yeah,
I think what always interests me is a guy like Josh Allen. He is, I think, undoubtedly one of the best players right now in the NFL. What always interests me in seeing premier players like that in any sport is how do they deal with that adversary, right? We're just talking about the Jaguars, and I'm not going to compare Lawrence to Josh Allen because he's not there yet. But if he does reach that potential, I think Trevor Lawrence could be on that level. You saw how he dealt with the adversary of throwing 4 picks in the first half. Mm-hmm. He came back to win that game. I think Josh Allen, I don't think it's fair to judge him on that entire game and say he came back from the adversary in that, but it'll be interesting to see how he deals with his not great game against the Dolphins last week and plays this week against the Bengals, because I think that will be an early test in his young career on how he deals with that adversary. How does he come back from playing a game that, while any quarterback would probably take that game that he had, it's not up to his standards. So it'll be interesting to see how he responds to it.
Absolutely. Moving on, we're going to talk about the Giants and the Vikings. The New York Giants pulling off the 31-24 victory. Danny Dimes, Daniel Jones, playing one of the best games I've seen him play. I was actually kind of taken aback at how well he was playing this game. And I say this begrudgingly, Reisler. I say this begrudgingly because, of course, they are a divisional rival. and I believe none of the divisional rivals deserve any respect or any thumbs up. But I got to admit it. I think this coaching staff for the New York Giants deserves a lot of credit. I think they do. I think Brian Daboll is a very good head coach, and I know it's his first year.
It.
No, you don't have to clip it. No. No. We'll keep it between you and I and the listener. You know what I mean? We'll keep it between you and I and the listener on this very show. You don't have to clip it. You don't have to share it. Look, I already facing heat for my Philadelphia Eagles prediction that did eventually become correct. With them saying they were going to win the division this year. Trust me, I hated myself for a few weeks for making that pick, but I'm here to give the listener the right analysis that they need, of course. And
here, hold on. Let me just open up my window and yell out that Zach McGibbon is a big New York Giants fan.
Let's not go there. Let's not go there. I don't want that nasty rumor being spread about me. I already have a whole bunch of nasty rumors being spread about me. One being similar to a certain professional wrestler that will not be named on this show, and I will not allow you to say the name for a multitude of reasons.
I'm trying to think. There are so many. I know it's not Hulk Hogan. He's your favorite.
Yes, as has been established by the executive producer Steve Bunda multiple times. Oh, don't say the name. Just don't say the name.
I won't say it.
Okay, good.
I won't say it.
Good. It's not Hulk Hogan.
Okay.
But speaking of Giants that performed in New York, the New York Giants, they looked really solid, and this is another classic Vikings game. We were talking about the Chargers earlier. This is another Vikings team that kind of teases you with their potential, and it's another one-possession game for the Minnesota Vikings. That's just been the story for them all season, but this time they're on the losing end of a one-possession game. And I have to pose this question to you, Mr. Reisler. Why did Kirk Cousins throw before the first down marker on 4th and 8 on the last possession for the Vikings in that game?
I saw a meme on Facebook. Do you know the show Impractical Jokers?
I do.
So do you know how the premise of how that show works?
Yes.
I don't need to. So you had your 3 guys. I forget their names, but you had them in the backstage or in some cabinet. Said, okay, Kurt, it's fourth and 8. We want you to throw for 3 yards. and that was the first panel. Second panel is Kirk Cousins throwing to Hockenheim at 3 yards, and then the third panel was them just dying of laughter.
Yeah.
It was just a big prank. Kirk Cousins did that. He was just doing that because his buddies dared him to do it. He didn't actually mean to do that. Of course he wouldn't. Kirk Cousins has such a better offensive IQ than to throw for 3 yards on a 4th and 8. There's no way, right?
No way at all. Not possible.
He's proven himself to be a primetime player.
Yeah, he shares the same name as an iconic lead in a sci-fi series in Captain Kirk. He should be able to lead this team.
Yeah, come on. He knows what he's doing.
I will say in defense of Kirk, the pressure was starting to collapse in on him in the pocket, and I think he started to panic a little bit and made a decision to try and get the ball out there as opposed to taking a sack. I think that's what the thought process was. But at that point, you just have to chuck it, don't you? And chuck it downfield. You got Justin Jefferson on your squad, Adam Thielen, and obviously through the TJ Hawkinson, who's a good tight end, but you got Justin Jefferson down there. Sometimes you just got to say F it and throw it downfield. Don't you think?
I mean, my question in all of this is you brought up the point I was going to make. Why are you having your tight end, your 6'5" tight end, 6 foot whatever he is? I know he's a hell of a lot taller than I am at 6 feet.
Yep.
Why are you having him run a route that doesn't even go 8 yards?
Yep.
Why would you not get him downfield and chuck it up to him? Doesn't make any sense. He's the guy you think that's going to catch a ball in the backfield or just beyond the line of scrimmage and make a move to get the first down? No, he's the guy you want to be jumping over everybody to catch the ball when you are in that position that Cousins was, where the pocket is collapsing and you just need to throw it as far as you can.
Yeah.
He's the guy you want going up for it. So just all around, that call just made absolutely no sense. And the unfortunate part, although I do believe it is deserved. The unfortunate part is that there are multiple people involved in making that call. The one that executed it, and Cousins, is the guy that gets the fall. But I think that you need to put a little bit of fault on the coaching staff as well, because they're just as at fault as Cousins was for that just boneheaded decision.
Yeah, play design there was suspect at best.
Yeah.
Didn't really make a lot of sense. And the Vikings are out again. Man, it's kind of cursed to be a Vikings fan, isn't it? They tease you so much. Kind of like being a Chargers fan, but for the NFC. They just tease you so much, and they get close, and they have all this talent, and you look at the teams of the past that they've had, and I think of the 98 Minnesota Vikings with Randy Moss and I believe Randall Cunningham throwing the ball.
Yeah.
And then, of course, the missed field goal by Gary Anderson, and just totally changes the tides, and the Atlanta Falcons somehow get their way into a Super Bowl that year, and man, it's just a lot of bad luck for this Vikings squad, and another year of bad luck for the Vikings
Think about it, for football fans, that let's say there's a Vikings fan that are our dad's age or our parents' age in their late 50s, early 60s, or maybe even in their 40s. They've had the pleasure of watching two wide receivers that, in Randy Moss, is already considered one of the greatest of all time. Yep. Justin Jefferson, if he continues to play like he has, he could, forget being he could be the greatest of all time. Certainly, if he continues playing the way he'll be one of the greatest of all time. Yep. If you're in your 40s, maybe even in your late 30s, you've watched both of them in their primes. And you've gotten exactly 0 Super Bowl wins, 0 Super Bowl appearances, and I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but you can count the amount of playoff wins they've had with both of those receivers on one hand. That's just not nice. That's just not fair, right? Like, that's just awful.
Yeah, it's one of those deals. It's like, I always make fun of Packers fans because they had Brett Favre and then immediately had Aaron Rodgers, and they're only able to get 2 Super Bowls out of it. But then you kind of put it that way with the Vikings, where they have these 2 all-pro receivers, one of the greatest receivers of all time, and as you mentioned, the other definitely on his way to being one of the greatest receivers of all time if his play continues, and nothing to show for it. It's just disappointing. But yeah,
lots of disappointed, depressed gritties are being done in Minnesota.
Yes, sad gritty noises.
Yeah, sad gritty noises, both from Gritty, the Philadelphia Flyers mascot, who maybe is a Vikings fan, who knows, and from Justin Jefferson, who's probably doing a very depressed Gritty in his multi-million-dollar mansion's backyard.
Yeah. Not a lot of hop on his sad Gritty there. But
I'd love to know what a depressed Gritty looks like.
Yeah,
just head down, big frown on your face. Not as much hop, just kind of,
Instead of the fingers up, it's the fingers down. You know what I mean, and a little bit more slouched, I would guess, and maybe not as much of a hop. You know what I mean? Maybe
poor Justin Jefferson.
My God, yeah. Just a disappointing franchise. Quickly, I want to mention this because this kind of broke in the last hour, but the Vikings defensive coordinator Ed Donatel was fired out of all of this. So something to kind of keep an eye on there. A lot of coordinators I've noticed have been either let go or parted ways or something. It's just it's interesting. It's just the kind of the turnaround that's going on in the NFL right now. But nonetheless,
always the fall guy, always the coordinator that's the fall guy, right?
Yep, usually is
the easy one to pick.
Absolutely, especially if you're committed to a certain guy, you kind of have to find somebody to take account for the season, and usually it's either a quarterback's coach or a positions coach, or in this case, an offensive or defensive coordinator. It's just a lot of turnover going on in the NFL right now.
For once, I'd like to see them, instead of blaming the defensive or offensive coordinator or the head coach, blame the position coach. You know what? Right. We lost because our linebackers coach wasn't good enough. Get the hell out of here. Go find a new job. You didn't coach the linebackers good enough. Wait, what the hell? We played great. What are you talking? The linebackers had 5 combined sacks. What the hell? It's your fault. Get out of here.
We were so in sync because I was also thinking linebackers coach, so I'm glad you said it. I was about to say that too.
The captain of the defense. It's the easy one to pick.
100%. Going to the final Sunday matchup in the Super Wildcard Weekend. It was a classic AFC North matchup between the Cincinnati Bengals and the Baltimore Ravens. The Ravens going in without Lamar Jackson, but fortunately, don't worry, they got Pro Bowl alternate Tyler Huntley in there.
Hell yeah.
But nonetheless, the Bengals were still able to come away with the victory, 24-17. One of the most impressive plays I saw was Tyler Huntley trying to reach for the goal line a little far away, but getting the ball knocked out of his hands, and Sam Hubbard making an improbable fumble recovery and running it all the way back for a touchdown. And the Bengals are able to move on, but Bengals are crumbling a little bit. Their offensive line, we've been talking about their offensive line, feels like for years now at this point. They make improvements over the offseason and already dealing with injuries in this playoff run, and could be a tough test for Joe Burrow, but I say that, but last year, Burrow was able to get to the Super Bowl with probably one of the weakest offensive lines in NFL history, I think it's fair to say.
Didn't they set a record?
Yeah, they set a record.
16 sacks? Was it allowed?
Something ridiculous.
16 or something like that? Yeah, just gross.
Yeah. Don't want to get your quarterback beat up like that. And
take it from me. Take it from the guy that lost Andrew Luck because for many reasons, but one of which being we had no line and he just got pummeled into the ground every game. You probably don't want to let your star QB get smacked around every game.
Absolutely. Well, speaking of star QBs, we got to talk about what's next for Lamar Jackson, because obviously Ravens are out. Lamar Jackson, before we even talk about that, this news kind of broke today as well. I think a lot of Ravens fans are celebrating the streets for this news. Greg Roman, fired as the offensive coordinator for the teams, was there for 6 years as the offensive coordinator, and finally they decided to move on from him. They decided to part ways, which is a nice cordial way of saying we're firing you. I bring this up because, kind of bringing it back to Lamar Jackson, I was having an interesting conversation with a buddy of mine, and he was saying this could open up to where Lamar Jackson doesn't come back to the Baltimore Ravens because he doesn't have that familiar offensive coordinator in Greg Roman who understands him and how he plays. And with a lot of talk about Lamar Jackson, his contract with Baltimore, whether Baltimore would be willing to offer a long-term extension for him, where do we kind of stand with Lamar Jackson? And do you see him staying with the Ravens, or do you see him testing free agency and going to another team?
I mean, I think if you're Lamar Jackson, you're in a pretty unique spot. You're 26, 27 years old. You're in the prime of your career. You have an opportunity to really cash out right now, right? And I think as much as you want to believe that these players are there to play because they love the game, I think a lot of them deserve and want to be paid handsomely for what it is they do, and I think Lamar Jackson deserves that. So if I'm him, hell yeah, I'm cashing out. I'm fully banking on the fact that there is a team, and it looks like the early rumors are the Dolphins could be making a play for him, although that would be very interesting. I think if you're Lamar Jackson, you cash out, you get as much money as you can right now because you just never know what happens in the NFL. If a team wants to pay you, you take it. Yeah. I think you can. I think if you're Lamar, maybe Baltimore's the right spot, but I think you test it and see where it goes.
Yeah, and I still have this feeling that Lamar is going to stay with Baltimore. I just feel like that's the right spot for him. Either way, I think Baltimore is going to cave in and pay him a whole bunch of cash to keep him around. I think he's a guy that I know he definitely brings a different edge to the game. Obviously, his mobility is something. The thing with Baltimore that I really want to emphasize and really want to strongly get across the heads of management there is that you got to give Lamar Jackson some better receiving options. And it can't just be Mark Andrews. Like, you got to give him at least, like, you trade away Hollywood Brown. You trade him to the Cardinals. And what you've got is you've got Devin Duvernay and your punt returner, your kick returner, as well as your wide receiver too. It's you've got to look in, especially in this draft. Like, I think they got to draft receiver here, and no matter who the quarterback is for Baltimore, they've got to shore up their offense on the wide receiver front, because I think they've got something going on the running back side. They've certainly got a running presence on that team, and that makes them stand out. But you still have to be able to bring another edge to the game where you at least have somewhat of a decent wide receiver one, a decent receiving core, so that Lamar Jackson could develop more as a passer, because I think he's a better passer than what people are giving him credit for. He just doesn't have the receiving options, again, other than Mark Andrews around him to kind of make a run.
I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe if he's not retiring, Julio Jones is a free agent this year, is he not?
That's right.
That would be, I mean, I don't think that's, it's not the perfect signing, but that would certainly be an interesting signing for Baltimore if they end up bringing Lamar Jackson back, because Julio, even in his old age, I think is still certainly an explosive receiver, or a receiver that would fit well with Lamar Jackson, a guy that if Lamar decides, you know what, I'm going to just leave the pocket now and run around and spin all over the place, Julio is definitely a guy that could be explosive and sneaky enough to get himself open and get himself in a position for Jackson. So that could be an interesting signing, although the rumor is that Julio is out of here. Not he's retiring, so yeah. You don't know, but that could be an interesting signing if you can coax him to stick around.
Yeah, they tried that with Deshaun Jackson, eh? Like, he was with the Ravens briefly on their roster. 35, 36-year-old Deshaun Jackson. You bring him in because he's really, really fast and he can catch the ball pretty well, but he also brings that speed as well. I think that's an interesting decision there to kind of bring in Julio Jones, but in my mind, you got to try and find a receiver, a young receiver, to kind of take some options. And I mentioned earlier, DeAndre Hopkins is maybe on the trading block. If I'm the Ravens, I'm trying to bring him in and see what I can do to bring him in, because I don't think the window is closed on them yet in terms of a playoff run. I don't think the window is closed. I do think, however, there are definitely some areas in that offense that they could certainly improve on heading into the next season.
Yeah, it's tough. Like when you have a quarterback that plays like Lamar Jackson, runs around all the time, and as a result gets hit often and gets hit hard often, you need to capitalize on his skill quick, because you don't know how long that is going to last. Yep. You hope he's durable enough, but you just don't know. And now we're already seeing some injury troubles, a pretty serious injury trouble. So I think I agree with you that the window is open, but it's ever so slowly starting to close.
Yeah, absolutely. And then we go to the main events of this evening, and look, I should be happy. I should be. And you know what? I am happy, Mr. Reisler.
Are you, though?
No, I am. Look, for so long, I've heard, I had to deal with all week. Oh, Tom Brady is undefeated against the Dallas Cowboys. Oh, look at, Tom Brady's going to pull off his magic again, and it's the Cowboys in the playoffs, and they haven't done anything since 1995 when they last won a Super Bowl, and blah, 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 right? Had to hear that for the last week. Well, you know what? The Dallas Cowboys were able to pull off the victory. They beat Tom Brady. They beat Tom Brady in the playoffs. They sent his ass back home packing. They sent his ass back home. We don't have to deal with Tom Brady. And now the Dallas Cowboys have moved on to the next round. I don't want to talk about the San Fran game just yet. We'll talk about that in a moment. They're quite a good opponent. But right now, I'm feeling good. Just don't talk to me about the kicker. Just, we'll
Zach, I have to ask, what do you think about Brett Maher?
I put it out there. I say, don't talk to me about the kicker. And the first thing that comes out of your mouth, you talk about the kicker. That's unbelievable. Why at 24-0 was I still frustrated? Why
you tell me? You tell me. I can't answer that for you. You tell me. Why were you frustrated at 24-0?
I could definitely answer that.
Go ahead.
You mentioned him earlier, Brett Maher getting the yips at the worst possible time. I don't think I've ever seen a field goal kicker, regular season or postseason, miss 4 extra points in a game.
Never happened.
Never
That's you've never seen it because it has never happened before. No kicker has ever missed 4 extra points in a row.
Yes, and to say my reaction,
did you know that, Zach?
I was aware of it. It's been made a point to me a couple of times, whether it be on commentary or in my football group chats or text messages or calls with friends. It's been brought up a couple of times, and I've not gotten mad at any point during that.
Okay.
You have no video evidence of me getting mad, especially after the 4th one, of me getting upset. And
but didn't I see on Instagram the other day that you used a certain F word?
No.
I think that was you. Was that a deep fake?
I think that's a deep fake. Yeah. I think that's doctor footage right there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
That could have been anybody. I mean, could have been another person impersonating me, and for sure, people will definitely run with that rumor of somebody impersonating me because God knows I've been accused of that multiple times. But
Hornswoggle.
No, I told you that name was banned on this show. This has been the 3rd or 4th straight week, by the way, that name has been brought up on this show, and I don't understand.
Hornswoggle?
Yeah, that one.
Hornswoggle.
That's right. It's Voldemort on this show.
Hornswoggle. Hornswoggle?
That same one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Little bastard?
Yes, that same one.
Finley's son?
Yes.
Mr. Vince McMahon's illegitimate son?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Former cruiserweight champion?
Yes.
The last cruiserweight champion, in fact.
Yes.
Hornswoggle.
That one.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, is that clear enough? Is that clear enough? Or
Crystal.
Okay, good. I should
Hornswoggle.
Yeah, thank you. I actually don't thank you for that.
Little horny.
I don't know if that one will make the final edit, but
Woggle.
That one probably will. Man. So Brett Maher got the yips, and I was not mad at any point of this game. Not whatsoever. I had full faith in this team. I was never concerned that they would blow it because Dak Prescott had one of his better games of his career. He looked very good. I think that's something we could both agree on. Meantime, though, Buccaneers offense just looked anemic out there. They were bad. Really bad. To the point where Byron Leftwich, there's a familiar name for both of us, fired as the offensive coordinator, and a whole bunch of different position coaches were let go. We were talking about blaming it on the linebackers coach. Well, they blamed it on the linebackers coach, the defensive backs coach, the running backs coach, the offensive line coach. Any sort of position coach that was on there, they blamed it on them, and they are out the door, whether they were fired or retired. You can pick. It's they are all out the door, and Byron Leftwich, who at one point was a hot head coaching prospect, many people want to see him return to Jacksonville to be the head coach for that squad. Now he's out the door after some pretty anemic offensive play over this season, really, for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Tom Brady not looking great. Mike Evans not looking great either. Leonard Fournette not playing at a playoff Lenny style that we were used to the last couple of years. Just not a good look for the Buccaneers offense this game.
Yeah, it's crazy to think that around this time last year, Byron Leftwich was, as you said, considered a hot head coaching candidate. Here we are a year later, he is jobless, and I can't imagine any team will be knocking at his door anytime soon to come coach them. Like that's sports, but that's the NFL, right? Things can change so quickly. I don't know if you want to get touch on this, but Tom Brady, I think with all the people leaving, I can't imagine he comes back to the Bucs next year. It is either retirement or a new franchise for him. I would be shocked if he does re-sign with the Bucs.
Yeah, I don't see it. Brady coming
back.
Why
would you?
Yeah, the pieces aren't there anymore for him to succeed in Tampa Bay. I think he's going to try and find a new franchise that will. I think he's playing another year, for the record. I don't think he's retiring.
I don't think so either.
I was bullish, or what's the right phrase? I didn't want to say Brady to the Raiders a while back, but as the weeks kind of progress along and you just kind of look what's there. You got a very good wide receiver one in Devontae Adams. You got a familiar coach in Josh McDaniels. Defense is not that bad for Las Vegas. So there are pieces there and for the Raiders, certainly, maybe 1 year. And that would certainly fit the mantra of the Raiders of getting an older guy, an older star in that franchise.
Older.
Yeah.
He's a senior citizen practically at this point.
Hey, I'm trying to be nice to the guy, okay? He's still playing at a somewhat decent level in the NFL at 45, 46 years old. So, hey, good for him. He had to shed a lot of different outside stuff in order to do it, but nonetheless, he's able to pull it off. Not great, but pull it off, especially this season. But
yeah, I mean, who wouldn't prefer to play in the NFL than retire with your supermodel wife and kids and live in a nice big giant mansion? I mean, I know I would.
Yeah,
I'd much prefer to get smacked around every game as opposed to living in my giant mansion with my supermodel wife.
That's right.
Come on,
getting paid Fox money as well because he's still got that Fox commentator contract waiting for him when he retires.
Yeah, what's that contract allegedly worth? Like 220 million, 30 million or something
ridiculous, like definitely in the hundreds of millions.
Yeah, I was going to say 200 million at first, but then I thought I don't think that's right. I think I'm wrong, but maybe that is it. But yeah, it's insane that he has that contract on the table, but it makes sense, right? Because Tom Brady, it's still one of the most marketable faces in the league. If you have him as the face of your broadcast team, whether it's Fox, CBS, NBC, Amazon, Apple, if they decide to jump into the football game, that's a pretty big get.
Yep, absolutely. I've got the deal up here. Tom Brady gets a monster 10-year, $375 million deal from Fox Sports.
Good Lord.
Yeah.
No Manning cast for Tom Brady.
No, certainly not. So he's got that waiting for him whenever he decides he's done with football. But it's adding up to a price tag of, this is a different price tag for each year. I'm going to try and find. I'm not very good at math, as you can tell. There's a reason why I joined radio, and I was told there would be no math.
Lots of dough is in Tom Brady's future, both cookie and green kind.
Yes, more money than I will make in my lifetime, for sure.
Yeah.
Especially if we're continuing our radio careers at that point of Tom Brady's life. But nonetheless,
maybe we can marry Tom Brady and get some of his money.
That's right. I think that's the next step for us, really.
Yeah, I mean, maybe he can go play. Maybe the NFL will expand and have an expansion team in Utah. Mm-hmm. And Utah, of course, they love people having multiple wives, and we could be, a big happy three-way family.
That's right. What's that? I think it was the Kevin James movie or whatever. They did something similar to like that.
Paul Blart Mall Cop? Not
Paul Blart Mall Cop. No, I don't remember that part of the movie.
That was the DVD extra.
Oh, I didn't realize that. I didn't get to the DVD extra for Paul Blart Mall Cop. Mall Clop. I should call it Mall Flop.
Whoa.
Well, I'm sorry. That's the main.
Dude, Kevin James is catching strays. What the hell?
Hey, I'm sorry. I'm sorry to insult the good name of Kevin James, the King of Queens.
You better apologize to all one of his fans.
Hey, one of them being Mick Foley. They were in the same school together.
Oh yeah, they were on the high school wrestling team, right?
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen that picture before of a young Cactus Jack.
Yes. That's right. I don't mean to insult the good name of Kevin James, who starred in such films as Hotel Transylvania 2, Monster House,
great,
Little Boy,
fantastic,
2006 Grilled,
astounding,
also in 2006 Barnyard.
What?
2006 Barnyard.
What?
2006 Barnyard.
Oh, I heard you that time. Gotcha. Thanks.
There you go. I just realized you were trying to do a Steve Austin bit right there, and I didn't catch up to it. Also, the star of Here Comes the Boom. So
that was actually a pretty good movie.
That is
I enjoyed
actually a
that
decent
movie.
film. Yeah.
It was a fun movie.
But the year before that, Zookeeper for Kevin James.
Stupendous.
Yeah. But hey, we got King of Queens out of it, so who am I to complain?
Yeah, there you go.
I'm trying to figure out the movie. I guess it's not Kevin James, but it was a movie about them. It was a movie about two guys that they. Oh yeah, it is Chuck and Larry. That's what I was looking for. I now pronounce you Chuck and Larry.
Chuck and Larry. Okay.
Yeah.
I did not see that one, but it has Kevin James in it, so it's an Oscar-winning movie, I'm sure.
Yes, it's got an astounding 14% on Rotten Tomatoes. And
Hell yeah.
And a 5.9 out of 10 on IMDb.
So what that means is 14 out of the percent of people that saw it did not like it, and 86 did.
That's right. It's a very weird rating scale, but
it makes no sense. But I mean, whatever. Who am I to judge?
Yeah, if that's how they want to operate, that's how they want to operate.
I mean, I'm definitely within the 86% that loved it.
Yes, big fan of that film. Big fan.
Yeah.
But like I was a big fan of the Dallas Cowboys winning this game. I'm looking forward to it.
But what I have to ask, what about, were you a big fan of Brett Maher kicking?
No, I wasn't. A fan at all.
Okay.
I wasn't a fan at all. I'm not going to hide it. I was floored with the missed extra points. Like, one is bad, you know what I mean? But it's like, you know what? You know, it happens to the best of us. You missed one. 2 was like, okay, Brett, like this is not great. You might want to get it together here, buddy. The 3rd one, I was really, I was like, maybe we should just go for 2 points at this point. Then they threw Maher back out there for a 4th time, and I'm like, please make this field goal. Because I was still at a phase of I don't trust the Cowboys. It's the 3rd quarter. And of course, he missed the field goal, and I may have let my frustrations be known in my apartment.
And you know what ticked me off about all of this is that when he did make that kick, the 5th kick, he came out and made it. At that point, it was a blowout. We knew the Cowboys were going to win. There was no shot the Bucs would come back. ESPN didn't even cut back for the kick. They showed the replay of the touchdown. And I remember at that point, I was watching the Manning cast just for fun. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, how do you not, like, it's a blowout. That's the thing everybody wanted to see was if Maher would miss a 5th kick or if he would make it. Well, why aren't you cutting to that, man? I was a baffling decision by ESPN.
Yeah, quite baffling. But nonetheless, the Dallas Cowboys, Dak Prescott, he has a big win, and hopefully that continues on. And that kind of leads us into our divisional round picks for this upcoming weekend. My team's still alive, and there's one thing I do want to bring up when we get to the game that I think you'll get a kick out of. That just notification on my phone. We'll get to that game. It's a familiar game for me, is what I will say. But divisional round picks will start Saturday. It's the Kansas City Chiefs taking on the Jacksonville Jaguars. The Chiefs coming off of a first round bye. You're picking this one. Who are you thinking? What do you kind of look at for both squads?
I'd love to see the Jaguars win, but I don't think they have much of a chance. I think it's Kansas City, although I think it will be close. I do think it will be a closer game, a la the Buffalo game last week against the Dolphins, where it was a lot closer than it should have been. I think this game will be a lot closer than what people are thinking, but Kansas City will be the team that pulls it out. And I think though, for the Jaguars, if there is a shot for them to win, it's going to be their run defense, because the super stat for this game, if you would like to play the super stat or meaningless number game that was made famous by Tim McAuliffe and Sid Sixero on their radio show, Kansas City is 1-2 when running for less than 75 yards this year. Jags are 5-1 when a team runs for less than 75 against them.
Ooh, I like that stat.
Super stat or meaningless number.
I love it. That's good. I like bringing the numbers to this. I like it.
Yeah, so that's the big key for the Jags. If they can stop Patrick Mahomes and keep him contained in that pocket, don't let the run game get going, I think that is their path to victory. But it's easier said than done, right? You're not playing some crappy QB. You're playing the best QB in the league, the best team in the league, explosive offense. It's easier said than done saying you need to stop them. I don't think they will be able to. I think it's Kansas City.
I like it. And I'm also going to pick Kansas City. It's the safe pick, but it's the best pick as well. I like that stat you brought in terms of the Jaguars, just if they're able to keep Mahomes contained and keep that running game to a minimum. I like this Jag squad. I think this will be a closer game than what people will expect. I think the Jags will take it to the Chiefs. They've got a really good coach in Doug Peterson, and I think as long as Trevor Lawrence doesn't get off to a cold start like he did against the Chargers last game where he threw 4 interceptions in the first half, if he's able to keep his mistakes to a minimum and he's able to make the smart reads and make the smart plays and continue to use the wide receivers around him, and they get Travis Etienne going, I think they've got a shot of at least making it close and giving it to the Kansas City Chiefs and making it a little bit fun. But having said that, you just kind of look at what's going on with the Chiefs. You mentioned it with Mahomes, Travis Kelce, and the receivers are not the best receiving core they've had in years past, but still solid enough to get the job done. And, as they've got different running back options now in Pacheco and whatever. So, and the defense is solid enough to kind of keep things contained for them. So I'm going to pick the Chiefs as well to win their game over the Jaguars. But the Jaguars will keep it competitive. Next game here is a game that I loathe as a Dallas Cowboys fan. It's a fight between two division rivals for a chance to play in the NFC Championship game. It is the Philadelphia Eagles versus the New York Giants. Where do you kind of stand with this? Similar to the Chiefs, the Eagles coming off of a first-round bye. They're going to get Jalen Hurts back for this game, it looks like. The Giants, they've got a little bit of momentum going, beating the Vikings. Looking at these two squads, what's your pick here?
It's interesting, right? Because Hurts, he was pretty limited in Week 18 against the Giants, the season finale. Now he has that week off, a couple weeks off, I should say, to rest, and you would hope that he's back, and he is Jalen Hurts, the MVP caliber player we know he is. So I think with that being said, my pick is without a doubt the Eagles, but I think of all the teams that are the clear underdogs, the Jags, Cowboys, and Giants, I think the Giants have the best chance at pulling something off. But that's an easier task. That's easier said than done. One stat, I'll give you another interesting stat, although this is what I know you know. And researching this, I didn't realize this about the Eagles. They were 2 sacks away from setting a record for most team sacks in a season.
Yes.
The 85 Bears had 72. The Eagles this year had 70. I didn't realize that. I knew that they had a lot of sacks. I didn't realize they had that many. So, you talk about the Giants having a chance to pull off an upset, the way they play, the way Daniel Jones likes to play. Good luck trying to get around or get anywhere through that line, through that linebacking core, get anywhere when you have a team of killers like that. That's easier said than done, and good luck to them to try to do it. And I don't think they will have. I don't think it's going to happen. I think it's Eagles, and I don't think it will be particularly close.
Yeah, and I agree with you there. I think the Eagles are going to maul the Giants. The way the Giants have been winning has not been through their talent. We will definitely say that. It's been through their coaches realizing what are the best skills for their players and trying utilizing them to their max. And that's what a good coach does, is using the players that they've got and maximizing their ability and capability. But this is not a team with a lot of talent, especially on the offensive side. Receiving wise, it's really rough for the Giants. It's going to be reliant a lot on Saquon Barkley. Defense, they've got some really good defensive players for the Giants that I think could do a little bit of damage here. And they've got a really good defensive coordinator, Wink Martindale, who's got playoff experience as well. So Giants could bring it to the Eagles here, but I think the Eagles are going to come in motivated. I think Jalen Hurts is going to he's going to want to make up for a really poor showing in the playoffs last year. And I think this will be a big prove-it game for him against the Giants here. And so I'm also going to pick the Eagles. I think it's going to be pretty dominant against the Giants as well. I think the Giants, the way that they've been able to get in was through some very good coaching on Daboll's staff, and not necessarily for the talent that they have, especially on the offensive side of the ball. Now we go to Sunday, and the Buffalo Bills versus the Cincinnati Bengals. This is a game I'm really looking forward to.
Me too.
This to me is the best game of the weekend. Josh Allen versus Joe Burrow. I think it's a battle between two quarterbacks that are looking to take that next step. We know Burrow can get to the Super Bowl. Allen, this is a chance for him to show that he could take that next step. In years past, he's had to face off against Patrick Mahomes, and now he's facing off against another elite quarterback in Joe Burrow. This should be a really fun game. I'm interested to hear your selection for this one.
Well, this is an easy one for me because the winning team in this game is the team I think will win the Super Bowl, Buffalo.
There you go.
I think Buffalo wins this, and I agree. On paper, this is the game of the week, right? On paper, this is what you expect, that this will be an absolute gunslinging, awesome show. It hasn't been confirmed yet. But I hope, and I would think the Bills plan on bringing out Damar Hamlin pregame. I hope they do, because I would just want to see the crowd reaction to that, right? Because last week there was a rumor that he may be coming out pregame because there's pictures coming out last week that he was at the team facility and he'd been there every day since getting released from the hospital. So people thought, oh my goodness, this is going to be awesome. He's going to come out with them. He didn't. I think this week they do, but you go back to that week 18 or week 18 game against the Bengals. They're going to have to overcome that same level of emotion, but it's going to be a whole different thing, right? Because you go back to week 18, they were emotional because they just saw their brother down, hurt. They don't know what's happening. They don't know what's going to happen to him. Now they have to overcome the emotion of, your brother is back on the field. He is ready to go. He is there with hugs and handshakes. You have to overcome the emotion of seeing him again. And I would imagine being so pumped up and fueled by the crowd's energy, that's going to have them on cloud nine, so to speak. So you have to come down from that to perform well in this game. And I think they do well enough doing that to win this. I think that it's going to be a close one, and it will turn out to be the game of the week. But I think it's the Bills that will win it.
Yeah, this is going to be close. There's a part of me that thinks that whoever wins this game could potentially win the Super Bowl. That's how good I think these two teams are. I'm also going to pick the Bills. I think they got more on their side. I think they've got a lot to prove. And to me, Josh Allen is a guy that, yes, he's looked a little bit off in the last couple of games, especially in the wild card game against the Dolphins. But you mentioned obviously the Damar Hamlin stuff in terms of a motivating factor. I think this is a team built to win now. And I think, especially in the case of the Bengals, their offensive line troubles, they really have to try and overwhelm Joe Burrow and not get him going, because there are a lot of weapons on the Bengals side that could really get things going for that team. If they could overwhelm Burrow and not get him comfortable in the pocket and not get him just comfortable in general, I think the Bills, and they certainly have the defense to do it, I think the Bills will be the victors in this. And if Josh Allen is able to keep his mistakes to a minimum, as a guy who's seen Dallas Cowboys quarterbacks not perform well in playoff games,
Tony Romo,
and I always defend Romo. I always defend Romo, but he certainly didn't have his best showings, other than the Des Cotta game, which was the best game, one of the best games I ever saw him play.
Speaking of which, I know we're getting off topic, but I want to throw it back to Christmas.
Sure.
Because my mom got me a really cool gift for Christmas. And actually, this is, for any football fan listening, look this up because it's a really cool gift.
Okay.
The Washington Post, or whichever is the not alt-right newspaper, because there's a Washington Post and Washington Times.
Yeah.
One of them is good and one of them is alt-right. I forget which one it is, but
it
whichever
is not
one
Washington Post, I can tell you that.
So is it Washington Times? Then that's the good one.
No, sorry, Washington Post is the one that's not alt-right. If you.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So anyway, Washington Post teamed up with the NFL. They went back in history for each team. Every newspaper article that they ever had that it was written and referenced that certain team is in a book. So, for example, for the Colts, they have from when the Baltimore Colts became the Indianapolis Colts, they have every Washington Post sports page that referenced the Colts in one book, and you can flip through and you can read through the history of your team.
Wow.
And it is the coolest gift I've ever gotten because it has everything in there. And I believe they did it for all the teams. Every team has one. And as I was flipping through, and this is no word of a lie, Zach, even though you won't believe me, I got the book, opened it up. First page I opened it up to was the front page photo of Dez Bryant with the ball in his hand, getting tackled against the Packers, reaching for the goal line and coming up just short. That was the first page I opened up to, and I immediately thought of you and chuckled because I just know how angry you would have been about that, and it just made me laugh.
I would have chucked that book out of the window.
Hey, if you ever buy the Washington Post book on the Dallas Cowboys, you know what to look for.
Yeah, that is certainly true. I can look for the Dez caught it play, which he caught the ball, and I will stand by that play forever. But the refs blew it.
If the referees disagree, but okay.
I know. Well, the referees were wrong, and
okay.
You can give me your little facts or whatever, but look, Dez caught that ball. We all know it. You know it. I know it. The fans know it. We all know it. Dez caught it.
Yeah, okay. Well, you sure.
Yeah, he caught it. He totally caught it. I will not hear anything else. Okay, well, whatever you say. Dez caught it, and I'm still pissed about that. Still so pissed about it. We'll never let Brett Maher. Come on, man. Like, what else do you want to bring up? You want to bring up Tony Romo bobbling the field goal snap as well? Do you want to bring that one up? Or last year when they decided to run a quarterback draw play against the Niners? I almost forgot about that. Thanks for reminding me. People remind me about that all the time, especially all the 49ers fans I know. And so there's a whole lot of material there. So like, just throw them at me. I've heard it all. And I'm cool. Like, I'm totally cool. I'm not mad at it at all. I believe that the headline of this the title of this podcast will be Zach is totally not mad. Definitely not mad. Totally not angry. Zach is absolutely not mad. He is cool. Don't put in the paper that I got mad. No. He, just like Joey Bosa, he's not mad that his team blew it. Zach isn't mad. He's okay. He's calm. He's calm. Right. I'm calm, cool, and collected, like I was during the Cowboys game this past weekend. Totally calm, cool, and collected. I am the embodiment of that drill tweet. I'm not mad. Don't put in the paper I got mad. Nope. Cool, calm, collected me. And so all that to say, the Bills are going to win, which means we bring up the 49ers game. I brought it up. I kind of shot myself on this one, but the San Francisco 49ers versus the Dallas Cowboys finish up the divisional round weekend. San Francisco coming off that big win over Seattle, Dallas coming off the win over Tampa Bay. And this is the game where I wanted to bring up something that I think you'll get a kick out of. Because I got this notification on my phone, and I think I know what you're about to say, because I also want to bring it up, but you go first. Sports betting icon Mattress Mac has bet $2 million on the Dallas Cowboys to win this game. Oh, that was not what I wanted to bring up, which is great because I could bring up what I wanted to bring up. There you go. Well, that's amazing. Good old Mattress Mac, eh? Yeah. Before you bring up what you want to bring up, that doesn't inspire a lot of confidence for me that Mattress Mac betted on the Dallas Cowboys, considering his hit rate, when it comes to these big bets. So yeah. Well, good luck. Thanks. What I wanted to bring up was our mutual friend Tony Dungy. Yes. He was asleep for most of the Jaguars-Chargers game, but he woke up and he tweeted that the Cowboys have little chance against the 49ers. And his reasoning, and I totally agree with his reasoning, is because they won a Monday night road game. Now they have a Sunday night road game. That's a tough one. It is a toughie. That's a toughie. Yeah. I don't disagree. I don't agree that they have little chance to win, but I don't think the Cowboys have much of a shot to win. I have the 49ers in this. They are my Super Bowl loser pick against the Bills.
But I think that it will be closer than, with Tony, when Dungy says they have little chance, that makes me think it will be a blowout. It won't be a blowout, but I don't think the Cowboys will be able to do much. Although I am interested to see how Brock Purdy in his, what will be his ninth game?
Yep.
Eighth or ninth game as a quarterback does against potentially one of, if not the best defensive players he's seen in his very limited career in Micah Parsons. That will be very interesting to me to see how our friend Mr. Irrelevant Brock Purdy does against Mr. Defensive MVP Micah Parsons.
I am very interested to see that. You know I'm going to pick the Cowboys here. I can't go against my team. You kidding me? It's like you would pick the Colts if they were in an unfavorable matchup, I would think.
Well, you didn't pick them to win the division, did you?
I didn't pick the Cowboys to win the division. That is a good call out. That's you did catch me on that. You caught me with my pants down on that one.
Oh God, pull them back up.
Sorry. Hey, I thought the camera was off. But no, you know what? You got me there. Nonetheless, go Cowboys. This is a redemption game. I hear about your odds. I hear about the cards being stacked against the Dallas Cowboys. I've heard the pundits. I've heard what Stephen A. Smith has been saying, and all these big-time pundits talk about their road games. And it's tough to win on the road. And this Niners team is a tough team, and blah 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 blah. This Dallas Cowboys team is coming in motivated. This Dallas Cowboys team is coming in with a reason to win. They want to overcome that San Francisco 49ers loss last year, and this is the perfect time to do it. Dak Prescott, he's in a different mode. Dallas Cowboys are going to win this game, my friend. Just you watch, and I will not embarrass myself on the show next week. Not at all.
Zach, I don't know if you are aware of this, but we're supposed to be talking about the actual game, not the Cowboys 49ers simulation you ran on Madden 23.
How did you know?
Yeah, I mean, I don't. Are you going to tell everyone how you had to run it 50 times before the Cowboys won?
We don't have to get into the nitty-gritty details on how we got there. Sometimes it is about the result. I don't need to know about the journey to get there. I know people talk about the journey to get there, but hey, sometimes the result is just as good. Go Cowboys, Mr. Reisler, go Cowboys. Let's go Cowboys. God, I hope we win this game. Listen, I've said it last week. I'm going to say it again this week. All I really want, obviously, is a Super Bowl, but I'm a guy that's like, I've only settled on divisional losses, I should say. All I really want is to see what an NFC championship game looks like in my lifetime. That's all I want. I don't ask for much. I want to see what it's like to be another step closer to the Super Bowl. And
are you saying you're now a Buffalo Bills fan?
No, I'm not saying that at all. I'm not. So you're
saying you're a 49ers fan?
No, I'm not a 49ers fan. God, no.
Well, you want to see what a conference championship game is like. How are you going to be a Cowboys fan and say that? That's not going to happen.
Because the Cowboys are going to beat the 49ers. We're going to go to the NFC championship game, and we're going to face the Philadelphia Eagles. It was meant to be. Go Cowboys. Let's go Cowboys. Let's freaking go. We're all in on this. I'm fired up, Reisler. Let's go. Everybody doubting us, and you know what? They have a whole bunch of reasons to doubt us. Hey, I don't disagree on the reasons to doubt us, but look, Dallas Cowboys, they're coming in motivated. They're coming in ready to prove. Mike McCarthy is ready to show people that he's not a bad coach. McCarthy and Kellen Moore and Dan Quinn all had excellent coaching performances last week. God, I hope that continues next week, or this upcoming weekend, I should say. So go Cowboys. Let's go Cowboys. We're picking the Cowboys to move on. I'm sticking with my team.
We?
Yes, I am one of those guys that says we.
No, you are picking them. I'm picking the 49ers. You are picking the Cowboys.
You're damn right I am. I am picking the Cowboys. I can't wait. I can't wait to see what happens on Sunday, is what I'm trying to tell myself. But
well, I can't wait, Zach. Just imagine this. It's the fourth quarter.
Mm-hmm.
Time is ticking down. Dak Prescott has the ball. He does call a quarterback sneak on fourth down, but this time he gets it. He gets it, and he gets out of bounds with 2 seconds left. The score is tied at 27-27.
I know where you're going with this. Stop. Please stop.
Out trots Brett Maher.
No, don't.
He puts on his helmet, buckles up his chin strap, ties his shoelace.
Yeah.
Here comes the snap.
Yeah.
And there comes the kick.
Yeah.
And just like in The Wrestler, with starring Mickey Rourke, Zach's TV cuts to black. The power goes out, and he does it, and you just don't know what happens. The ending is left up to your imagination.
I'm literally left in the dark. That's what.
Literally left in the dark. But actually, in reality, Brett Maher misses the kick.
Yeah, I thought you were going to say that. You know what? You are really you know how you could have really taunted me.
How could I taunt?
You more than you already are. You could have said, hey, he makes the field goal, but it was revealed that the 49ers called a timeout to ice the kicker. And then Maher has to kick again and has to seal the deal again. And lo and behold, he kicks it and he misses it after being iced. The one time icing the kicker works.
Wouldn't that just be something? Wouldn't that just be a Hollywood ending?
Yeah. Oh, sure. Certainly be an ending, all right.
Maybe it would be a Netflix ending.
Yes.
Not necessarily Hollywood ending.
Yes. Oh, man. I'll say this, though. I've thought about doing, the Twitter Spaces gimmick on Twitter.
Yeah. Yes.
I've thought about doing a Twitter Spaces at some point during the playoffs, for whether it be for good or bad. Some point doing Twitter Spaces so I can yell into the void in real time.
Wouldn't that be something? You should do it after this week, after the 49ers win.
How dare you? How dare you? Go Cowboys is what I have to say to that. Go Cowboys. Let's freaking go. Anything else you wanted to bring up, Mr. Reisler? Or?
Well, I said my Super Bowl pick, Bills over 49ers. What's yours?
Cowboys over Bills. How about that?
Really, Cal? You think the Cowboys will? You're that confident in your boys?
Yeah, of course, absolutely. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. It's of course that's gonna happen. Yeah. Bills over the Eagles is my Super Bowl prediction. Who said that? Did somebody get into the call here?
Zach, did you have a brother you didn't tell me about?
Well, I do have two brothers, but I don't believe they're in Belleville currently. Maybe he snuck onto the call. I don't know. It's just the weird.
Hacker.
Yeah, it's just the hacker. That's right. The old Sammy Callahan gimmick in NXT.
I was going to mention that. I didn't know if that was too niche.
Oh no,
for Gibby's football podcast.
Oh
listeners.
No, more niche the better. We need more niche references. That's what makes this podcast unique. Is niche references, like the philosopher Nietzsche. That we could do something like that.
Well, there you go.
Did you like that? Or was that too niche?
You see, that was too niche for me. That just went over my head.
Oh, man.
So you are successful.
Oh, man. This is just when you think we couldn't get any lower. We get lower. That's this podcast.
This show is pretty low on the totem pole. We're jobber. If this was an EWR game, we would be jobbers to the stars.
Oh, 100%, 100%. We would be jobbers to the stars. Yeah, we'd be just looking up at the fancy lights up above us. It's not often I get to drop an EWR reference. No, God, I love playing EWR.
What a game.
Yeah, it was so simple. I do play TEW as well. I still have the 2020 version, which is not as good as the 2016 version in terms of UI layout.
Hot take.
Ooh.
That's a hot take.
Are you saying my take is a hot take? I thought you were going to give a hot take.
Hot take wrestling is bad. Hotter take football is for nerds.
That's right. Just running out all the hot takes on this show. That's what we are. We're known as a hot take show.
Hot takes.
All about the takes. No, I mean, I played TEW for quite a bit. My goal was always to rebuild WCW after 2001. That was always my TEW builds. I was always bringing in guys like Ken Shamrock and Rob Van Dam to help fill out my roster, kick Hogan to the curb, and just try.
That doesn't work for me, brother.
No, not at all. Stroking the mustache and saying that doesn't work for me, dude. But
sorry, Jack.
Yeah, that doesn't work for me, brother. Let's talk turkey, brother. Let's talk turkey with the Hulkster, dude.
You just can't cut the mustard, brother.
Exactly. Oh, so many great Hoganisms. I still think of that great tweet that he put out. Good night, jabroni marks. And those who don't know when a work's a work and a shoot's a shoot. So great.
Those cruiserweights can cruiserweight, brother. Not a real quote, but still a good one.
You know what? If you told me it was a real one, I would have believed you with Hogan.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Hogan, not a big fan of cruiserweights and definitely doesn't like Hornswoggle.
No, definitely not. Loved going over, that's for sure. Not afraid to go over.
Pretty easy to go over Hornswoggle. Just lift up your foot.
That's right. Do the pin like Jarrett did at Bash of the Beat 2000, just the 1 foot on top or whatever.
There it is.
Have Hogan cut a shoot promo about the state of the company afterwards. What could possibly go wrong?
Just like Brock Purdy will do. He'll put 1 foot over Dak Prescott's chest after this Sunday's game and flex, and he'll be gone.
Yeah, that's right. He'll do more of a Jericho. He'll flex, be like, "Come on, baby!" And then that's how he is going to make his statement. Yeah. Well,
a lion salt off of the uprights.
Yeah, that's exactly what's going to happen. Hey, it'll be just like that AEW match, Stadium Stampede. I believe that's what happened there. Moonsault over on the if it wasn't the goal line stand there or whatever, I think it was at least off the stands. So, but nonetheless, so we went through everything on this show. Not only just the NFL, we talked about 99 Rideau Street McDonald's. We talked about Kevin James and his movie filmography, I guess I should say.
His movie prowess.
Yeah, just an incredible skill of being in such amazing films. We talked about TEW and EWR. And I think we...
Oh, wait. We almost forgot one thing. It's become a tradition when I'm on.
Yeah.
Maroon 5 sucks.
Yeah, that's right. Of course. We have to bring up how Maroon 5 stinks.
We are 3 for 3.
Yeah. I mean, they stink. They stink.
They're booty cheeks.
They are bad. What a bad band.
You know what? We'll wrap it all up, Gibby. I will wrap it all with a nice little bow. Maroon 5 stink like the fecal matter on the floor of the Rideau St McDonald's.
That's a great way to wrap things up. I love it.
See you next week.
See you next week. Thanks again for coming on, Mr. Reisler. I really appreciate it. The weeks continue on in the NFL. I've got some interesting ideas in mind. I want to see if we can try and do a fun idea for the Pro Bowl. Try and have our own little skills competition when it comes to guest calls. Yeah, because trust me, could you imagine?
You thought Brett Maher kicking last week was bad. Wait until you see me do it.
Yes, we're gonna get a precision passing drill going. We're gonna see how that goes.
Okay.
That'll be great.
The more off target you are, the more points you get.
I'm having you all run the 40-yard dash, and we'll see how fast you guys run.
What are you doing?
You know what? I'll save that for the combine. How about that? So you can prepare, and we'll put you on the bench press as well.
If you get the Gibby's Football Podcast crew to run the 40-yard dash, it will be the first time in history that there need to be a break at 20 yards.
Yeah.
You know how in the New York or Boston Marathon, at certain points they'll have people on the side with a table and they'll be handing out water to the runners.
Yes.
You will be handing at the 20-yard line, handing out waters to us as we slowly jog by.
Yeah, dragging yourself across the 40-yard line. Oh, I love it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't worry, I'm not going to have you actually do physical drills for the Pro Bowl. Don't worry. I'm trying to debate on what to do for the Pro Bowl because I know people won't be watching for the flag football game or the different skills competitions going on. So we got to do something to fill in that slot, and why not get some previous guest co-hosts in the past and bring them all together and see what we could do for the Pro Bowl. I think that'd be fun.
I think so too. I mean, we can give out the Jim Rome Award for hottest take.
Ooh, I like that.
Who can make the hottest of hottest takes?
Yeah,
and you get the honorary Jim Rome Award.
I love it. We can present it to Jim Everett and see how that goes.
Chris, I bet you won't call me Chris again. Oh,
I bet I will.
I think I will. Chris.
Just the table flying, audio cuts off. Incredible television.
The whole time Jim Rome is smirking.
Yes.
Amazing
audio. And
what
amazing video. Yeah, it's just incredible stuff. But hey, speaking of incredible stuff, that does it for this incredible edition of Gibby's Football Podcast. We'll be back next week. I'm not sure who's going to be coming on next week. I've been just catching up on stuff all week. So who knows? We're going to figure it out. Everything seems to be happening. So especially on the wrestling side of things, a lot happening on the wrestling side. So tune into This Is Wrestling on the TSN 1200 Ottawa podcasts section and your favorite podcast player. Also a reminder, This Is Wrestling nominated for a Faces Magazine Award for Best Sports Podcast. So vote once a day, every day. And let's see if we can win Best Sports Podcast. I think that'll be...
Vote every day.
Vote every day. Exactly.
Every day.
I know you vote every day, Mr. Reisler. You're standing, waiting by, and you want to go click on the vote button. You're voting every day.
I actually do.
Oh, you
joke, but I actually am. Yeah, of course I do.
Oh,
the only time I ever vote in the Faces stuff is when I know someone, right? I think that's what most people do.
Yep, I think that is fair. Yeah, that's fair.
There's so many categories. It's like, how are you supposed to sit there and go through all of them? It's pretty much just I know someone in this category and I like them, so vote. Go. And I vote every day for the best sports podcast, and you should too.
Absolutely, anyone listening you should do it as well.
You should go onto multiple IP addresses and vote on this, so you can vote multiple times in one day.
That's right. Run up the score like the Dallas Cowboys ran up the score on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Am I right?
But like they won't do against the 49ers.
Oh, come on. Vote for This Is Wrestling in the Best Sports Podcast category for Faces Magazine. We're the lone wrestling podcast in there, and so it'd be really cool if a wrestling podcast won it. But give us a vote there. Keep on listening to This Is Wrestling and keep on listening to this football podcast every week with a different guest co-hosts each week as well. Sometimes I may go on solo as well if I'm feeling like it. But the Super Bowl is coming up, divisional round coming up. I'm very excited. And a lot of people also excited as well for NFL draft coverage. And I watched also the first episode of Behind the R for the Ottawa Red Blacks little show there that they have on YouTube. That's very good. So just keeping up to date with everything football and XFL coming up. So get excited as well. And I need you on.
Yeah, buddy.
I need you on for XFL coverage. Definitely.
I can't wait for the XFL for the half season of it before it folds again.
Oh, how dare you? How dare you? It's going to last a full season this time. Trust me.
Yeah, just like last time.
Yes.
Just like the first time.
Well, look, the last time it happened, it was the pandemic. It happens to the best of us when it comes to the pandemic. So
I always forget too that Oliver Luck, the son of Andrew Luck, was the what was he? The commissioner. Yeah, commissioner.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then had to sue Vince in order to get his money back.
Yep.
Among other things involving Vince and lawsuits, but that's a whole different can of worms. But nonetheless, that's it for Gibby's Football Podcast. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. We'll see you next week. Hopefully, I'll be in a very happy mood next week when it comes to post-Dallas Cowboys, San Francisco 49ers. We'll see. It should be an interesting episode nonetheless. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. We'll see you all next week.